I wasn't even on the screen then. Hello, everyone. I've got my guests down below. I can see you guys there. I will bring them in very shortly. Welcome to a UK Prepper Network open mic night and obviously current news going on. Before I get my guests in, I just want to say and give out my deepest sympathies to my friends and neighbours down the road where the Heaton Park Synagogue is for the attack that happened there today. Horrendous attack. Unfortunately becoming more and more common these days. So my hearts go out to the families and the people who are still fighting in hospital. Hopefully they get well soon. So with that out of the way, can everyone hear me? I should have asked that before I started speaking. And anybody 5 by 11 mind, I'm just going to get everyone on. We've got a ream of people queued up already. We're going to have a full house this evening. We've got Brian slurping a can of Pepsi. Catch him at the right time. We've got
How you doing, mate?
One of our awesome American cousins, Mark Magic Acres. How you doing, Mark?
Need somebody to stand up for what's going on over here.
Yeah, you can give us the skinny on everything going on. And then we've got Bombardier and Alan. It's like a fireside on steroids. I'm going to have to you just move to the side. I don't want to move my background just for you, Andy, so just shuffle yourself a bit. How's everyone doing this evening? Are you all right? Everyone's like in at the same time. Excellent. So usually it goes one or two ways, right? Either do this and nobody comes on, or everyone comes on. So so welcome to everyone in the chat as well. Before I forget you, Miss Worm, Evil Girl, and moderating, and anyone else in there as well. Really appreciate you all being here. Appreciate the 5x5s. This is not a monetized stream, so this is to you guests as well as to you people in the chat. Because of the nature of it, we don't monetize it, so these guys have free reign. So all super chats, all donations are much appreciated, and if nothing else, go and subscribe to all these guys as well, because that'd be awesome. So, with that said, yeah, I take it everybody's seen the news. Brian, you're doing nothing with your days these days apart from being a layabout, so I assume you've watched all the news.
I did see it, mate. It's horrific, but sadly not unexpected with the state of the country at the moment, is it?
No, it's for those who don't know, OPSEC nightmare right here. This is a 2-minute walk from me where this happened. I drive past it every time I pick the kids up and bring them home again. So it's very, very close to home. So it's scary, but where it is, I mean, we all know UK is a multicultural nation, but it's a full Jewish community. Houses, everybody there. Right next to it is a full Islamic community. And it's like completely like almost segregated, but right next door to each other. They've had security on them synagogues for the last 2 or 3 years. It's not a new thing.
It must be fun to live near.
I've said when we drove through, I said this is a powder keg waiting to happen. It's just absolutely
We didn't hear anything in the States. Well, I haven't heard anything yet, and my stuff's queued up all the time about what happened over there just now because we're too busy worrying about the government shutdown. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. the government shutdown, which means the entire world is irrelevant now.
That means all the private sector gets shut down, but all the people who get paid by the government, like political people, they keep getting their paycheck. We're just going to shut everybody else's off.
Well, there you go. Madness. Have you heard what's happened over here, Chef?
I did about 32.7 seconds ago when you mentioned it.
Yeah, so we've basically had an extremist who's car rammed into our synagogue gates. These are gated off and they've got their own security on, so he's rammed through there. He's then gone in towards the synagogue and basically gone on a rampage with a knife. Wearing what seemed to be an improvised explosive device, which turned out to be, not that it wasn't, but turned out to be not effective because it didn't do what he wanted it to do, of course, which is a blessing for the rest of us. But
road flares look good, but they don't go boom.
Yeah, but so it's absolutely, it's absolutely madness because it's been so close, sort of thing. Alan, you've been watching the news. Have you seen all about it?
Yeah, I mean, I woke up quite late because I'm on a weird night shift sort of mode at the moment. But I woke up to, all the stuff in the news, and like Brian says, entirely predictable. I follow religion and politics a little bit outside sort of survivalism and prepping and things like that. So I take a bit of an interest in it. I very much tune into the likes of people like Sam Harris and Douglas Murray and Ben Shapiro and these kind of people. So they're very much involved in this kind of discussion all the time. And obviously, it's tragic, but completely not unexpected. The rise of anti-Semitism in the UK is at a tipping point now where this is probably going to be commonplace, or it will certainly happen a couple of times a year, I think. And even watching to the left of me and Mother PC, I'm watching the highlights from a couple of different news organizations, and they're doing exactly what they always do. They're pretending that this is some sort of balanced attack where it could have happened from either side. And look, they have a Jewish person and a Muslim person standing under an umbrella saying, look, we're best friends and we condemn this and all this nonsense. And, it's complete rubbish. The media are almost just as responsible for this as obviously the person who did it is the most responsible. But the cover that the media and left-wing politicians and the woke ideology that's spread throughout the West, that's what's giving cover to this kind of stuff. That's why we have a rise in anti-Semitism again, because anti-Semitism has been around a very long time and many different guises. They get attacked from all sides, but predominantly the far left, the far right, and Islamists in the middle. So they can't win either way. And yeah, I mean, I'm not shocked by it at all.
What they class as far right these days is anyone with an opinion. And I really don't think the far right is a threat at all. I don't think I've heard a single person. I follow some far right people. I follow some far left people. It's good to keep, your eyes on everything. And I've never heard anything negative said about the Jewish community in general. From the far right.
On that, Mike? Sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to say, they talk about far right, and everybody that differs from the politically acceptable norm at the time, whatever the agenda is, if it's pink slippers and fluffy unicorns, then that, if you dare to say that the unicorn wasn't pink, it was grey, then you're right wing. It's as ridiculous as that.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about free speech in the UK. There's no such thing as free speech. Even us talking on tonight, you're really at risk of the hurty-feely police knocking your door and you suffering criminal, if not professional, in the workplace fallout over this.
And yeah, purely based on what we're talking about, that's why this stream can't be monetized. Because of the rules that are in place, and like I say, there's a further risk there to somebody knocking on your door, sort of thing.
Virtually everybody on this stream has got kids. We've all got parents. We're all of different ages. Everybody's got different backgrounds, but the majority, in fact, I dare to generalise and say that the majority of preppers, who by definition try and look at common sense approaches and judge how things are going to affect our life. Right, that's not far-right extremism. That's just a difference of opinion from the sheeple and the norm. It's not far-right, but by definition of what we do and looking out for potential future risks, we would be deemed to be far-right.
Yeah. Which is
the same thing in the States. If you're not far left, you're extreme right. Everything to the right of left is extreme right. I mean, period. That's
yeah.
Where's the happy medium for us?
The only way they define it these days, it's ridiculous. There used to be one, middle of the road, look at both sides. Now, nope, not anymore.
Well, it's the change in the language. I used to know the far right as being white supremacists. So to me, a person on the far right is like a neo-Nazi white supremacist. That's what I imagine. Somebody.
No, that's what they used to teach us, and now they drag that far right to the middle, and now into the left side of this spectrum. Mm-hmm. Where if you're not extreme left and go with what they want, whoever they are, then you're an extremist right. You don't have to be a whatever N-word, AZI, or anything like that. If you're not with them, you're against them. That's basically that's how it rolls now, even in the States and pretty much every other liberal-run country in the on the planet.
And that's why the institutions are responsible for this, because they're the ones that have pushed the narrative to change the language on this.
Can anybody else hear that in the background? It sounds like either a parrot crying or somebody's on a sex swing. So I don't know which of you is up to something that you probably shouldn't be, but it sounds really bad.
Is it playing when my mic is? Because I'm mute. I got crickets.
That might be that.
It's the crickets. It is the crickets.
Yeah, it's the crickets.
Anybody else might have assumed crickets. You went straight to sex swing.
Crickets in a set swing. We'll meet in the middle.
Or whatever. I got birds in the backyard, and it is still warm out. So you got to hear me every morning. I yell out at the robins. I'm like, get a nest, because they're out in the middle of my yard doing it. I'm like, oh, come on. Put it behind closed leaves or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digressed.
Just a bit.
Bollocks.
So people saying this could be the start of something big and stuff like that. I'm kind of leaning towards no, apart from the fact of Starmer saying more people, more armed officers on the streets, and this could be a way for him to increase that. Anyone thoughts on that? It's open mic. I'm not going to ask individuals. You've got to jump in.
But look at the last two armed officers, and look at how it was spun. At the airport, they got attacked. Young girl got her nose broke. Right? The government never released the tapes that showed what actually happened. If nobody, this is the thing, if nobody had actually leaked the CCTV of those officers getting a kicking, right? Mm-hmm. Then the narrative that would have been spun was armed officers attack ethnic minorities in an airport, which was entirely different from what actually happened. And this is the world we live in.
Yeah. Paul's joined us dressed as a budget anonymous hacker.
Love you too, Mike.
Andy, you're very quiet.
Whatever the news tells us until it leaks out.
Yeah, well, this is it. We don't even pay attention to the mainstream media anymore. Andy, what's your thoughts on all this that's been going on today?
Very, very sad, mate. Like the guys have said, not surprised, but very sad. I suppose I'm a unique mate in the sense of I've got a lot of friends in the Jewish community. I've got a lot of lads who do security for them up here in Newcastle. Mm-hmm. The Jewish community, they tend to recruit ex-parachute regiment guys up here. So the security they've got up here is very good.
Down here, where I am, it's G4S.
All right, okay. Well, up here, mate, it's Para-Reg.
There's a bit of irony with that, do you not?
Yeah, it is, mate. And I suppose, mate, I'm unique in the terms of I've been to Israel and I've worked with the IDF. So I suppose very, very close to home, mate, for me. Very, very sad. And like Brian was saying there, mate, about the armed police. I can remember, you know, when Lee Rigby was murdered. Mm-hmm. I can remember when those armed police turned up, and I'll never forget it, mate. They were being interviewed, and those armed police, mate, turned up, and they actually said all three of them were scared for their life, so they didn't do anything. So what is seriously, mate? What is the point of being having an armed police officer who's going to turn into a situation like that, say they're scared of life and not be willing to pull the trigger? I don't understand what's the point of them.
If anyone saw the video, it took a member of the public, I think, leaning out of a van to shout and shoot him, sort of thing. Yeah.
So I would put money on today, mate, that the police officer who took the shot, I would put money on it that he's an ex-soldier. I would put money on it.
Would you put money on that he's going to get backlash from it?
Yeah, I would.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's the sad thing.
I wouldn't be surprised, mate, if he loses his job.
That would be really sad. That would be the really sad thing. Where it is, if anyone doesn't know, it's not just like a synagogue and a huge car park, people that live like in the States or other countries where they've got lots of real estate. It is literally back-to-back terraced houses behind it. It's a two-lane street and then more houses on the other side, followed by schools, shops, everything like that. It's such an enclosed area, so an explosive could have done devastating damage.
I see the news. Sorry, the news are just saying that the suspect's just been named as a 35-year-old man named Jihad al-Shamami. So, you know, very British.
Oh, he's a local then.
Yep, and 3 other suspects are currently in custody being interviewed by the police.
There was 2 other people arrested around the area at the same time as it happening, so I don't know if they were trying to already get... Because it was a 9-minute response time
I've seen that.
from the initial 999 call. I've had a mate who got jumped outside a police station. It took them an hour to send a car from the next town.
Seriously?
Yeah, that genuinely happened. When they started to phase out all these small police stations, there was a small town, outskirts of Bolton, and it had a police station. And it's got, do you remember they had the phones on the outside of the police stations? You could pick it up and speak to the officer inside. He picked it up, said, listen, there's 10 lads, they're coming down. I know they're after me. This is going to happen. And he's a big lad, but when there's 10 against them, this turned around and said, sorry, because I'm on my own, I can't come out and help, but we're sending a car from Wigan.
You see, the thing is, see with something like a response time like that, I seen it was like 7 or 9 minutes or something, and they've immediately rounded up these 3 other people, so they immediately know who these people are somehow. Plus, they immediately managed to identify the person and go to his address and place of business and stuff. So they know who these people are. No doubt they're probably on some sort of watch list or something. But do you know, every minute that the police waste time on Twitter looking for people or to arrest people for saying things like men can't be women or something is a minute taken away from watching these people. And why is it these people, if they're so well known, weren't intercepted with intelligence beforehand? Why does the act actually have to happen before something is done?
Why can you get put in prison for a year for a comment because it's a right-wing comment, but they're on watch lists? What do they have to do to graduate from watch list to actually being, to get on a terrorist watch list? Surely you have to have done something pretty bad or be up to something really bad. Why is that not already grounds to collar them? I have no idea.
You know what I can't understand, mate? If you're a if you're a footy hooligan and you go to a match and you have a punch up and you get caught, they take your passport off you, don't they? You're on a control order. So why? I can't understand it how that can happen to a football hooligan. But if you're on the terrorist watch list, there's no rules imposed on you. What's the point of having a watch list if, like Alan says, you're not being watched?
Yeah.
Can I interject some positivity? Because it's all doom and gloom.
You can in 1 second. Killer, thank you for the awesome £20 super chat. If you watch these guys as much as I do, appreciate Mike's time making all this stuff. Chip in some money, you tight bleeders. I think he was saying that, bleeders.
I think it was tight bastards. I'm just throwing it out.
There you go. And £5.56 donation from John C. Well
Very
done,
clever.
police.
Very clever.
That's probably $10.
Yeah, 5.56. Yeah.
That's the one.
That's the one. Go on, Brian. You're going to interject.
Yeah, everything's all doom and gloom, but I think you've got to take some positivity out of the fantastic steps the government's been taking lately, because when these digital ID cards come in,
I can't believe I fell for this.
Right. There'll be no need for any of this terrorist watch list nonsense or border force or anything like that. No. It's not.
Did he have you then, Andy?
He did. He actually did. I actually fell for it.
I mean, this is nothing new. This is why I don't think it's necessarily going to be sort of any tipping point. Since, I mean, if you go back pre-2010s, the main antagonists were things like the real IRA and stuff like that. But let me just get completely banned and monetized with one big spiel. Yeah. 14th of May 2010, MP Stephen Timms stabbed by British Islamic extremist. Lee Rigby in 22nd of May 2013. The Westminster car that drove into the pedestrians, killing 3 and injuring 50. That was March 2017. May 2017, the Manchester Arena bombing. That killed 22, injured over 1,000. 2017, London Bridge attack. Another 8 were killed on that and 48 wounded. 2018, extremist stabbed attack in Manchester Victoria Station. London stabbing, a number of people were injured and 2 killed in 2019. 20th of June 2020, shouting Allah Akbar, extremists attacked public park in the Reading, killing 3 and injuring 3 others. October 15th, 2021, Ali Harbi Ali stabbed and killed MP Sir David Ames. And 2023, A 70-year-old was stabbed to death in Hartlepool and seriously injured another, claiming the attack was claimed to be an act of protest against the Gaza war.
Oh, that's all right then. That's fine. That makes it all right.
Now, I don't know about you guys. Everyone's heard of some of them. I hadn't heard of all of them, and that just shows how quickly it gets whitewashed from the media.
This will be whitewashed from the media within a week. I guarantee it. Something else will happen.
As soon as the narrative changes a little bit, it'll get whitewashed.
Yeah, I'm already seeing some of the responses from left-wing media just now. Like, I'm reading the comments of what people are saying. And unbelievably, some people are saying that it's a false flag to cover up, to hide the flotilla that Greta Thunberg is doing in Gaza, and that's what that is. And this is the kind of stuff that's coming out of the absolute insanity of Marxist woke ideology that causes this kind of thing.
They can't say it was a particular group that lived next door to them, because that would be anti against that group. So they were hoping it was like a Christian or something. That way we can all get slammed and we're all back to being extreme right wingers, because we are of the Christian religion. So therefore we must be right wingers. You know, that's about where this whole thing seems to be going. I don't care where you are.
And that's what they'll do. They'll wait at some point. There will be some sort of fanatical right-wing Christian who kills somebody, and the left will descend on it. Like, well, see, look, right over there. That's told you it's just the same. Even though that might be 1 out of 100, but the other 99 have all been from similar ideologies. We ignore all that, and then we put it on an evil playing field. The BBC are famous for doing this. They will quite literally. I guarantee BBC Breakfast Tomorrow will talk about this. And then they will say, and let's not forget, and then they'll bring up some, somebody on, I don't know, some white supremacist that's killed somebody for some reason, or that, remember that guy, that guy who killed the politician over Brexit or something like that. They always throw that in there because that's their way of trying to balance it out as if there's some sort of even playing field here, which there clearly isn't.
Right, there is a tiny bit of merit with that, right? No matter what religion, race, country you're from, there's nutters everywhere, right? And there is some of them that are just nutters. But usually this is not like, if it's just like an attack of arsehole 1 attacked man 2, right? No affiliation to any religions and stuff like that. It's just a mental diagnosis sort of thing. But it's when they've been brought up in a certain way, and then this ideology has been implanted into them, suddenly, oh, I've had a terrible life, but there's a shortcut to paradise. And that is just, I'm trying to bite my tongue a little bit, but
it's indoctrination.
You have no idea how much I'm chewing on my tongue right now because of where I'm currently sitting here. But yeah, if it wasn't one religion against another one where they could sort of blame it that way, it would be the knife's fault or the gun's fault. It's never the car's fault. Don't sue Ford for that truck driving through a bunch of people in New York 10 years ago. Nope, it was the driver then because of the things he was shouting. But if it was just one a-hole and another a-hole, it would be the car's fault or the knife's fault or the weapon's fault. You pick your weapon of choice. It would be the fault of that. We must get rid of that. That'll solve the problem.
We've seen that with the Christmas market attack in Germany, where it was very obvious what was going on, and yet every single media outlet reported it as a car has killed people. Was it driving by itself? Was it doing its own thing?
3 years ago. Yeah, it was like the Christmas parade where that person went careening through all the roadblocks and stuff to get in there, and they weren't big, but it was enough to let you know, hey, there's a parade going here, or a Christmas show where people were walking the streets. And kids died, people died. It was the car's fault, or it wasn't the car's fault. It was it was always the car. A vehicle careened through a crowd and killed 8 kids and injured 50 others. And then the guy, the driver of it, no, we don't know who he is. They have a picture of it, but they don't know who he is, and they don't know his race or anything like that. But they got a picture of it. Yeah, we have that issue.
I know the times that they do know his race.
When it's Caucasian male.
He was a light-skinned, dark guy. That's what we get over here.
It would be Johnny McStabby.
Is asking for a link.
You what?
Somebody in the chat mate's asking for a link.
Yep, 2 seconds, because I don't want to get this chat. Just before the chat goes off, I've just had a look there at 2CTV. There's some good reporting. They are genuinely. There's. It's not so much rioting. Some of it is, but there's looks like the pro-Gaza Palestine supporters. Are in the stations, filling the Manchester stations, Piccadilly and Victoria. What I can see, using this as an opportunity to get their point across and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Fine. Break out the tear gas.
Yeah. All the more guns.
That's what. Do you know what that demonstrates for all those people that say that the protests against, what's going on, the war in Gaza, the protests against Israel isn't about anti-Semitism or about being anti-Jewish. It's about being anti-Israel. Why this then? Why the celebration that we're likely to see from one particular side, or the protests over the murderer being killed, when this wasn't Israelis that were targeted from what I can see on the news? It looks like purely just Jewish people. They're not in Israel. They're in Britain. They're in England. What's that got to do with the war in Gaza? Absolutely nothing. The only one common denominator there is the fact that they're Jewish, so they hate Jewish. I changed my opinion about anti-Zionism after October the 7th. After that event took place, I used to be very much kind of against the notion of Zionism as a concept, because, like I say, the kind of people I follow online and things like that are quite atheistic, and the whole idea of a state based on an organized religion to me sounds not like nonsense. And I used to think, well, yes, there's definitely a difference between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. One hates Jews, one just is against the concept of an Israeli state. I no longer believe that. Now I think if you're anti-Zionist, you're just an anti-Semite. It's pure and simple as that. You're just against Jewish people. And that should be confronted continuously, I think, especially with the likes of the media. I was listening to Rory Stewart and Alistair Campbell on their podcast yesterday talking about Trump's proposal for peace in the Middle East as being completely nonsense because it doesn't bring the Palestinian Authority to the table. Who are the Palestinian Authority? Do they mean Hamas? They must do, because they're the elected government of Gaza. So that's who they're talking about. But they never frame it that way. They always frame it as, well, look, it's a surrender document, not a peace deal, because they're not bringing Hamas to the table. Of course they're not going to bring Hamas to the table. They're a murder cult psychopathic terrorists that need to be eliminated.
Sorry?
Who'd you bring up? Who'd you just bring up?
Sorry. Jake just joined us. Hi, Jake. Welcome.
I can't see who it is because the banner's in front of it. I'm like,
yeah, no, I didn't want to pull it off before I mentioned it. Killer's solely sponsoring this entire stream tonight. Thank you, Killer. Far right racists have lost their meaning by Starmer's standards. Mr. Phillips, our childhood village vicar, would have been far right racist. Exactly. Yeah, it's been watered down to the point where it no longer. If somebody said that to me as an insult, it would be water off a duck's back now, because they think anyone slightly right is far right, like we said before. So,
could I make a point quick? Nice to see you again as well, Mike. It was a few weeks ago. Me and you and Ben did a open mic. It was my first one, so
yeah. One of the comments in that said it was nice for Mike to join Jake's show. So that
I'm sorry, man. I had a lot to say, And
everyone get comfortable. Jake started. I'm joking. Carry on.
On the right wing stuff, It's
I'm getting a Sigma Jake vibe here. Already.
No, go on. Sorry, carry on, Jake.
They talk about like the right wing stuff, but the most right wing of it all is Islamic extremism. Now, is it been confirmed that he was an Islamic extremist? I haven't looked that far into it.
I don't think so. But
so,
you can kind of surmise.
About 2 hours ago, they said they knew his identity. They've still not released it, so they're probably waiting for a way to spin it. One of the reports I saw before said instead of using, because I was looking up like the terror acts over the year, instead of using Islamic extremists, they used a Dutch national who was originally from Somalia, and at the very end it goes, and Islamic extremists. It's like they're trying to put a spin on it so you don't instantly think it's that.
They need to filter the picture to make him look lighter than what he is as well. I mean, that's what we do over here.
So I wouldn't necessarily make that depiction with that particular guy then for this attack. But what I would say is when they talk about like far right extremism and stuff like that, and like brandish like your typical bald-headed white guy as as that. It's kind of nonsense because the far right, the true far right, is the extreme of the extreme, which ultimately is Islamic extremism. They want the ultra conservative, the ultra religious, like pushing of the views and things like that, you know. So
But I find that really interesting to refer to them as far right extremists, which ironically are supported in this country by far left protesters.
well, that's the thing, mate. There was an interview with a guy. I don't know his name. He was an ex-extremist, and I think he was talking to Dinesh, an Indian guy in America, and he was saying like they love the left because they use the left to push what they want, knowing because the left doesn't have the values, they don't hold the values, and so they almost use them like lambs to the slaughter as the way to get what they want.
I believe that. I believe that.
Tolerant. Yeah.
Well, that's the woke ideology. That's the weird mix of those groups coming together. That's why you get insane groups like Queers for Gaza marching alongside extremist Muslims, and that's a real group. That's a real group. Look it up.
Queers for Palestine, isn't it? Yeah.
There's actually a Queers for Hamas as well group.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Even though they would get thrown off a roof if they ever went to Gaza.
How come they don't do something like goats for Hamas or something? I don't know.
I don't think there's any roofs left, is there, Alan?
Probably
not. Thank you, Ben, for throwing a donation in, even though you're on the stream as well. Hope this helps out. Andy, he wants you to take note of his desk.
That's I'll just say, mate, that's Ben Clean.
That's Ben Clean.
That's Ben Clean. That's not Andy Clean.
Say I generated. This isn't real.
But see the desk though. Can we pan Ben's camera down? Because I'm guessing he's just went like that and fired it all on the floor. The floor's in shit state.
I mean, I won't lie, it isn't.
Be full screen shamed, Ben.
Hold on. Doing this. All right, hold on.
That's a clean.
Can you see your feet, Ben?
I can see my feet. You can see my feet, even though it's dark.
Look at that on the floor.
Look at the state of that.
It's dark.
Wow.
Is that an empty pack of boxer shorts? That's an odd thing to have on the desk.
I just jumped straight on the live, so everything's just shoved under the desk.
It's tidier than my office.
I called it. Called it right.
We didn't notice the Vaseline off to the side, honestly.
No. They've actually named a guy.
Okay.
Jihad al-Shami.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah.
35-year-old British citizen of Syrian descent.
British. See, that's the caveat that the media puts in.
British
There's
citizen.
There's no reason to add the words British citizen other than to say, please don't get angry at other people coming in.
Yeah.
But how long has he been a British citizen? Because that could have been like for the last 6 months he's had a fucking passport. Let's get that one
He was
sorted.
still carrying his blue folder off the UN.
But I mean, they say that could be legit. He could be like a British national for all of 5 minutes.
That's exactly how I was thinking as well. Yeah, 100%. Or how many people is he a British citizen with as well? Like, and do they share the same ideology? Like, all these things are going to have to come out at some point.
Can I just say this user could be banned just for his name? Miss Worm, keep a close eye on this one.
I would love that to be actually him.
The only thing I'd add to this, just because Andy can't rip shit out of the desk, is I'm going to be that guy because I haven't heard anyone mention it, and I've only seen bits floating around Reddit. Now, obviously, take that with a pinch of salt. Everyone knows that, but he's got a clean record, British citizen of Syrian descent. So, when they say a clean record, don't seem like he'd be on any watch lists. Fair enough.
Clean record in this country because his passport fell in this channel on the way over.
Yeah, in this country, yeah.
Since the reset.
There's been a lot of stuff going on in Iran recently, and they're trying to hit back again at Israel. What if it's something to do with that?
Yeah, but
I have no doubt it was the fact that they responded so quick. They've arrested 2 other people in the same area. He was known, and maybe he was known, and they thought, oh, he's just talk. It's just sort of thing, and yeah, it's just. But it's how quickly they got the information of he'd been buying explosive devices for a while and stuff like and chemicals and stuff like that. It's like you obviously know of this. It could have been stopped.
They'll call people like us far right for even assuming this stuff. Like I said at the start, we don't know for certain yet what all the details are. So we can't just like brand him as that. But like, there's a few things here that's like making me think, oh, he's from here, he's this and that. It just makes you think, doesn't it? You know. And when you ask these questions, you as a person by the left is branded as like, oh, you're far right. And it's like, that to me is a lack of critical thinking, because to be a critical thinker is to assume the worst and hope for the best. You know, it's not the other way around.
That's their attempt at silencing you. That's the purpose of that.
Yep.
That's just to try and silence what you have to
That's
say.
a good thing there, because I don't know if you've ever heard of Dante. It's like an old poet. It's like something called Dante's Inferno. He's like from Italy in the early 1300s, and he was a poet. But he basically wrote something along the lines of like, the hottest place in hell is reserved for those who, or for the ones that in great moral crisis maintain absolute neutrality. And it's basically the idea like, you need to speak up when things are going bad, because if you don't, you're just as bad as the people that sit back and do nothing. And I think like it's getting to that point where I know myself personally, I'm just going to start saying things. And yeah, they can say about locking you up, whatever, put me in prison, do whatever. I don't care. I'm done dealing with this rubbish, you know.
Or giving it a false even weighing, which is the other, the exact same thing. You know, giving it the notion that this is somehow the same as anything else, on an even scale. That isn't the case.
Yeah, 100%.
Can I ask a question? What other prepper channel can you go from Brian's sex swings to 14th century poetry? None. Don't forget to subscribe, guys.
Yet here we are.
Yes, here we are. Here we are.
I would like to correct that. There's no way that was Brian's sex swing, because the squeals from protesting shackles weren't loud enough, right? It'd be like the Forth Road Bridge crying in protest.
Oh, so excessive Vaseline was used, was it, to get rid of the creaking?
No, I like peanut butter.
Please don't say excessive Vaseline in any sentence.
Funny enough, I was actually thinking of making Vaseline one of my preps. I suffer from eczema, and obviously in times of need, I'm not going to be able to get my steroid cream, stuff like that, off the doctor. But Vaseline's like one of the only clean products you can buy that actually helps eczema, stops the itch, but it also uses as fire burners too. But I made a joke about it to a friend. I was like, I'm going to look like Diddy with all the baby oil when I start buying Vaseline, It's
also be careful buying lots of accelerant at the same time. Because you will end up on the same list.
100%.
If you run short, just hit up Hawkins. He orders it by the gallon for some strange reason that I can't possibly think about a need for, but I'm sure it's totally legit and innocuous. And,
it is. Yeah. I'm not traumatized. I've been to his house twice, so I'm just going to rock here.
It certainly explains the butt pain in the bike, though. I think you'd have finished the trip.
The way you guys describe Hawkins on stream, it gives me the idea, like, when you go to like a theme park and there's that haunted house, it's got traps and everything everywhere. Hawkins has got the whole setup by the sounds of it, so it's quite interesting.
Hawkins is a blue-haired, heavily pierced lefty. We just let him in for the crack.
Has he got a dungeon though? Has he got a dungeon?
No, he's not gone subterranean. He's too out in the open. His sex swing's in the driveway.
He's a vegan.
Right. Can we turn it back to serious matters for a wee second? Because the audience is going to grow tired of our innuendos, I'm sure. About Gaza, that's all going to be solved, though, right? What do we think of Gaza will be run under a temporary transitional governance of a technocratic, a political Palestinian committee. This board of peace will be headed by Donald Trump and includes Sir Tony Blair.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put Blair in charge of anything.
No,
Blair anywhere. Why do we need to be over there? I don't need to be over there. U.S. doesn't need to be over there.
Blair's just going to drive round with "Things Can Only Get Better" playing out of a stereo and doing nothing but taking tax money off them.
I said to my brother 2 years ago what would happen when they kidnapped, raped, and murdered several thousand Israelis, and I said, like it or not, they've pulled the tail of the bear, and the response is going to be extreme, because you're talking about a racial memory of mass murder and been constantly attacked by their neighbours since the 50s. This was the straw that broke the camel's back, and they've pretty much went, fuck it with public opinion. We're going to go for, excuse my choice of words, the final solution. And I say they'll systematically push from the north to the south and corral and kettle all the people in Gaza, flatten it, piecemeal, and shove them into Egypt, which is pretty much what they did for the last 2 years. And when that's done, they'll clear the rest of it as well.
If I can,
and release some prime oceanfront property.
I would just like to ask one question. When did this world actually become a live rendition of the Muppets? Tony Blair and President Donald Trump leading the charge. Okay, so we got Marley and Marley. This is ridiculous.
Careful.
It's not the
careful.
Muppets, it's South
I'm only
Park.
playing. But it is like another episode of South Park.
All I know is I wouldn't want to be the guy writing up those treaties and those borders, because I don't think any of them lot over there are ever gonna stop going at it. You know, I just don't see it happening.
I'm just imagining the first public address by Blair and Trump. Trump likes to talk a lot, goes off on a lot of tangents. Anybody who's watched Blair's speeches, they last forever.
Yeah. I mean,
it's going to be a nightmare.
With the jokes aside of the Muppets, though, I just wanted to put that in there just for the sheer fun of it.
We're going to build wonderful condos.
Trump is actually, like he said, I know he's going on about himself, but he has helped broker peace deals in a sense. Yes, whether they've lasted or not, fair, but he's managed to get that foundation laid in. So, in a sense, this may not be as bad as it sounds.
Yeah, listen, peace deals are great, and I'm all for it, and all the wars he stopped is great, 100%. Give him the Nobel Prize. I'm okay with that. It's not a problem at all. My worry is the ones he can't.
Yeah.
And how they tip over the edge and how they escalate. That's my worry. We've got a separate question here just in the chat before we carry on. Camping Kings, question for Alan and Brian. Was there a makeshift African tribe evicted from your local woodlands at all today?
There was, yes. I was hoping they were going to leave them there till the winter. I genuinely wanted to see what they would do in the winter. I was even considering taking a drive down just to see how their preps were.
Popcorn.
Offer some assistance. You know, I wanted to see it stretch right out.
Yeah, I'll bet it would as well. That'd be the next video. Man from Grangemouth area used as sex toy by 3 large Nigerians.
Nice.
Read more here.
I was gonna. Were they genuinely like crazy, or were they actually trying to like see if? Oh, hang on, let's see if we can get something going here.
So the guy, his history is multiple failed businesses, and he tried to set up the the Black UK awards for like celebrities and stuff like that, and he's had multiple failed businesses and stuff like that, and he just seems to, this was a new idea, I think, because he looks like he's trying to act all spiritual and stuff like that, but then the news instantly found 1 million pictures of him dressed in like suits with like £5 and £10 notes.
Who knows, maybe he took some of that
DMT case of a crazy person.
One at a time, guys, one at a time.
Sorry, is there a delay on my end?
I don't know. I've not seen your end.
Mike.
Giggity.
No, it's sorry, Alan. You said.
Yeah. So no, I was just saying that by the looks of it, he's a classic case of like a sort of failed crazy person trying to start his own cult or something, or it's some sort of publicity stunt, from what I could see.
Yeah, one of the two definitely. He'll spin some business off this, I'm sure. Yeah. Jake, what did you say? Sorry, because you kind of spoke at the same time as Alan.
Yeah, my bad. I thought I didn't know if I had a delay because I wasn't trying to actually interrupt Alan on purpose. So I just see it.
No, it happens. We've never had 8 people at once, so I'm surprised how well it's going. To be honest, it's not chaos at the moment. So
that Nigerian king was also a scammer.
Yes, yeah, he's been done for all sorts of things. It was the American lady that was there from Texas, I believe she was, who was the handmaiden. I just found the whole relationship a bit odd. Anybody who's watched The Handmaid's Tale will know what I'm talking about.
On the in the chat there, Mike, Leanne Mack has just said he was granted British citizenship in 2006 as there you go.
as a minor breaking on GB News. So there you go.
Yeah,
He's
being the
enjoyed
KP
19 years of state benefits, and then it's just decided, no, enough's enough.
I thought that Nigerian prince died with like $8 billion in his bedroom with him because nobody would answer his emails.
That's my uncle.
He kept trying to give it away.
Nobody wanted it.
That's my uncle that I've never met and didn't know about.
Yeah.
So,
The thing is, though,
insanity.
they'll not move them back to Africa because the guy was interviewed and he says he doesn't want to go back because it doesn't rain down in Africa.
Nice.
so
That's
Brian,
This is churning Toto shit.
so
See-
Brian, when
see-
you get your 8 million from your Nigerian relative, are you going to buy a great big plot of land for the UK Prepper Network homestead where whatnot?
No, mate, I'm going to build a bunker and you can fuck off.
Yeah, you're talking to the wrong person there. I'm the community guy. He's Brian.
I'm the guy that'll put a webcam inside it.
Just
He's gonna buy
a,
a Max warehouse and put a bunker under it.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And probably stream it to OnlyFans with a 5 quid fee a month or something like that.
And a 5-gallon
2 cans like this.
Right next to him.
right, so, I mean, what do we think of the Gaza solution? The whole... them how can that possibly work with them in charge? I'm not sure. Is Gaza going to be the 51st state, Mark?
I don't think so. I really don't. I think CR is going to get all pissed off when he becomes a 51st state from Canada up on the Saskatchewan side.
That's been spoke about recently again, hasn't it?
Oh, they're still talking about it. I mean, there's a whole thing going on over there. The whole four whatever you want to call them territories on the west side of Canada. They're all looking to get the hell out because they've been getting screwed by the national government forever. They're still
trying to
getting
get
screwed.
And they're
And
trying to
it's
get
funny
to
that
send
Trump mentioned this like 6 months ago, and now all of a sudden they're talking about it up there. It's like, how did he know that? Kind of weird. Must be that time shift thing again.
The Gaza plan's not going to work. It's just bizarre. And the inclusion of Tony Blair, I don't understand what Tony Blair's getting out of it. To be honest, he's going to get. I don't even. But there's not a lot of money involved in it with him.
There
No,
will
that
be
we know
rebuilding
of.
contracts. So Gaza's got to be rebuilt. Money will be flying about there. There'll be funds and toppy funds. His son's getting involved in it as well. This is all about money. Nobody actually gives a fuck about the poor innocent people on any side that's getting killed. Let's get that straight. Nobody gives a shit. All people actually give a shit about is the appearance of doing the right thing, selling guns and bombs, and then rebuilding and making money out of what's left in the ground. That's the reality.
Yeah.
Have they said how long it would take to build? Because there's a lot to do if they were to do it. It's not an overnight thing, is it?
Well,
Store their houses for Teamia.
he nearly built a full wall across the country in 4 years. So
We would have had it done in 2, but there was a little bit of pushback from people who wanted that money to send it to other countries for other things. But
can I just say in the chat, everyone's entitled to an opinion. We're talking about geopolitics and stuff like that. Every one of us might have a slightly different opinion, but we're talking about it in a calm, collected manner. No racism in the chat at all will be tolerated towards any race whatsoever. Someone's just been kicked and banned for that very reason. I don't care how you're misspelling it. I don't care how you're trying to pronounce it. Say anything like that in my chat, and you're gone for good. Just so we're clear. Okay.
unless you're a white
Carry on.
Christian, then you can do that. Sorry, I had to go. You can eject me off the panel now. I had to go there.
No, it's fine. It's nice somebody said something at the end of that, because if nobody made it light-hearted at the end, it would have been like silence and right. Yeah, so like it is now. Anyway, what do we think of Greta Thunberg in custody now, I believe? Israel have detained her.
I don't think of it.
The biggest
Yeah.
thorn
She's
in
still
the
a 6
Israeli
out of 10.
right now.
She's still
Nice.
prime. We're not rating her.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry. I got that wrong.
Donate the boats? I don't know.
It was just when you said she was in handcuffs and what do you think of her? I'm saying she's still a 6.
The new haircut gives me Lord Farquhar vibes.
Yeah, she looks like He-Man. It's awesome.
Brian.
I mean, it wouldn't be a deal breaker, to be honest.
No, but genuinely, it just feels like a ridiculous. I jump on every single bandwagon as Lefty Queen for no reason whatsoever.
She's
Why
like
she
the
not-
poster
That's
child.
what her parents
That's
trained her
the-
to do.
This is the thing. Why is she not protesting the war in Ukraine? Why
Yeah.
are the left not going on about the war in Ukraine? 1 million people have died in Ukraine. And that, I mean, there's no ambiguity there at all. There's clearly an aggressor attacking a completely non-aggressive country. I mean, it's 100% bad guys, good guys. You know, take away the sort of the very long history of Russian politics and stuff, but it's pretty obvious who the aggressor is. They're yet absolutely crickets from the left. So why the focus on Gaza? Because it has Jewish people. That's the only reason. That is literally the only reason. And that
Gaza
falls
doesn't
into
have
the...
Jewish people. Gaza's full of Christians, and apparently, well, it used to be all Christians, but I'm not going down that rabbit hole right now. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
We're here for the rabbit holes, Mark. We're all about the rabbit holes.
Yeah, no, I can get into real history and stuff like that, but I'll probably get ejected.
The politics aside with it all, it's just, you're right that they're not protesting the Ukraine thing, and I don't know if anyone else has noticed, like, obviously flags go up and down all the time. We've had that raise the colours in the UK where people have been raising the patriotic flags, and the big ones, you notice the massive ones when like at the side of the motorway and stuff like that, and it's the same people flying the British flag and the patriotic flags that were flying the Ukraine flags. That's what I've noticed.
Did you see that bloke that painted his entire house with a Union Jack?
There's a
He's
guy.
like- Go on.
I've not seen that, but there is a guy about 300 meters away from where this attack just happened, and he has every flag you could possibly think of, every version of the Union Jack round. He's got bunting up and stuff like that, and he's an old boy, and I've seen them. People trying to take him down, and he comes off and like, "Rrr." But yeah, he's very proud.
Well, there is a fun thing I used to like to do when I was debating with people on Facebook, is quickly go into their profile pictures, their past profile pictures, and you'll notice that they have now that banner that you can suckle around your profile picture.
Yeah.
They'll be, I've had my booster, BLM Lives Matter, Free Gaza,
We are all
LGBT,
Ukrainian.
whatever.
We are all
You know what I mean?
We are all that, yeah.
It's like a
How can
CD,
they-
isn't it?
How can they be all of those things at once? And how can it be the case that simply with a 2-minute conversation with somebody, I can tell you what your political views are on the Middle East, Black Lives Matter, or any other geopolitical thing that's going on in the West, simply from your color of your hair, probably, you know? Because
Blue,
it's an absolute bandwagon. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a bandwagon, and I keep talking about it, because it's an ideology. The attack that's happened today on the synagogue, it wouldn't matter to me if that was done by some white nationalist nutcase who hates Jews, because those people exist as well.
Yeah.
It's the cover the media has given to the woke Marxism that's allowed this to happen in the first place. That's the thing I want to draw attention to. You know, it doesn't really matter too much to me that it's an Islamist. Of course, it probably, we all kind of knew that because they're the most likely people to do it currently. Whereas back in the 70s, it was probably white neo-Nazis. They seem to have vanished.
So with that in mind, Starmer knows that Reform are chomping at his bit right now, okay? If there was an election called, he'd be absolutely smashed at the moment, right? He knows that. And he is slowly starting to try and appeal to more of the right-leaning voters. And I think he's going to try and introduce little things. Is this now another way for him to do that? Make that step slightly away from left towards right to try and put something in place and...
I don't think he will, because
start arresting people that should have been on watch lists for 10 years and stop people coming in unchecked.
no,
Just-
what
it's crazy
he'll
theories,
do,
I know.
what he'll do is you'll hear a bunch of platitudes from him for about a week, and then they'll move on to something else, or some obscure thing will happen that involves a white Christian, and they'll focus attention on that and say, look, just last week we had this, and now this week we've got this, and they'll move away. The reason he won't do that is because there's too many people within the Labour Party who are so far left that if he was to even hint at doing that, they would move immediately to the Corbyn Party or the Green Party, or even the Liberal Democrats at this point. They would move further to the left, and it would divide his party even further. He knows that, so he won't do a damn thing. He'll hide for a week. He's going to hide for a week now. That's what's going to happen.
Iki came back for an emergency Cobra meeting. I don't know why you need a Cobra meeting to do the address that most leaders just did on Twitter.
Just show again.
Yeah, I think you have to be naive to fall for what Starmer's doing. If you fall for that, then, I mean, you haven't really got your head in the game, in my opinion. Like, all these little tactics that they do, this is typical politician, scapegoat, anyone with, like, a level-headed, common-sense point of view and then has an eye for politics can see all this stuff it's just a blur. All these attacks, like this attack that happened today, people are like, oh my God, this is getting really bad. No. This is just the start. It's going to get way worse unless someone comes in and puts it and puts an end to it, or at least like put some sort of enforcement, like whether it be on the border, solid police on the ground. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work.
And then again, I think it's all pipe dream. Because if you're going to do that, you'd have done it 10 years ago when he killed a British soldier on the street.
100%.
And that should have been when it happened to Lee Rigby, that should have been the line in the sand. Yeah,
there can't be a line in the sand. There can't. Do you know why? Because we're still tied up with the European Court of Human Rights. Until we actually get out of that pile of shite, and still we actually stop incentivising and paying legal battles to fight against unreasonable laws that are getting perverted, nothing will change, because it can't change, because it gets tied up in a quagmire of legal challenges that we're paying for, people staying here that we're paying for. It should be a reasonableness check, as in, what would a reasonable person think of these actions? Good, bad, indifferent, right? Get them to fuck. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If you're a murderer, you're getting hung. If you're a sex offender, you're getting hung. Rape, you're getting hung. If you come here and you don't belong here, as in you came here illegally, you're a criminal, you're going in a boat, we'll send it back with 5 gallons of petrol, you pick the direction, off the fuck.
It's true.
There we go.
It's true that, because like look at Hungary and Poland, right? The European Union are like sanctioning them day by day, millions of euros, because they won't take in migration. But they won't take in migration because they ultimately know that illegal migration is going to do what's happened to every other country is going to happen to theirs. And you can see the mindset of the European Union just by watching what they're doing to those two countries, which are literally saying, no, we don't want it. And that in itself is showing you, even though there's nothing there in terms of words, you can see what's going on there. I think Poland, or is it Hungary, every day it's like €1 million to get charged to not take him in. But
it's still cheaper.
It is. That's what I'm saying. Viktor Orban came out and said, look, it's cheaper to do this for my people than the long-term effects of what it will do to my people.
Yeah.
And yeah.
We pay more than that to France to stop the fucking dinghies that they don't stop now. That's a bargain. Bite their hand off. Right, there you go. There's $1 million. Fine.
Yeah.
We'll just start putting pins in boats.
100%.
Killer's comment before it goes off screen. Thank you again for another £5 super chat. Killer, you're absolutely awesome. Starmer fully understands how obnoxious and dangerous Islamists are, but he needs their vote. Pretty disgusting, really. I don't think their vote would even save him now. I don't think it would. It's unfortunately, it is technically still a minority that are the extremists, but when we're letting more and more in unvetted from countries that are at conflict, from countries that have got a grudge to bear, then the risk of it becomes more and more exponential as far as I'm concerned.
It's a minority of the people who commit extremist acts, but it's not a minority of the people who have extremist views.
Yeah, 100%.
So a survey was done fairly recently on what Islamist communities or Islamic communities in the UK thought about certain things, particularly around violence for political gain. And a huge, I can't remember the exact number, but it was a huge majority of them believed that it was perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, because a minority of a massive group is still a massive amount of people. Like, if you gave one person, right, an AK-47 in one round of, like, 30-round magazine, look at the damage one person can do. Now, you give 10 people that, it just 10. And so, let's say, they say there's 2 billion on the planet. Let's even be kind and say there's only 100,000 extremists. We know it's not. We know it's way more than that out of the whole population. Look at the damage that size can do, and
we'll look at the damage they could do if they remain unchecked.
Well, if they get
the problem is we are inviting it.
I agree.
We're covering it.
Scott Adams basically had a thing on it. He basically said, like, the way democracy works, it's like playing the lottery. A good person can win or a bad person can win, but inevitably a bad person will eventually win. And it's the same with democracy. We're getting in power. Eventually, someone crazy will get in. And what they do with that crazy is a whole different thing. Now, Starmer, in my opinion, I don't know, like he is on the wavelength of, like, in my opinion, like communism. He wants everything to be totalitarian.
100%.
Well, he's saying the totalitarian stuff is what the Islamic extremist people want. They want the totalitarian caliphate. So, in a way, he kind of intertwines, maybe not to 100% of their views, but they kind of come together, part and parcel, like slightly, like he shares certain views, whether he agrees with it or not. But
it worries me because Starmer's government started to me as a laughing stock. All right, you've got like housing officers getting fired for like making people homeless and stuff like that. Every scandal going is like ridiculous, and it's just been a laughing stock. But now it's becoming dangerous. It's becoming dangerous to all our livelihoods. I want to ask Andy a really quick question. Andy, you've worked with them. You know what they're like. How would the IDF have dealt with this? Zero tolerance?
Yeah, 100% would be, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally zero tolerance from it, yeah. But then again, mate, I would like it, with the exception of October 7th, I would like to think it wouldn't have happened in the first place.
Yeah.
Pew, and I know there's questions to be asked, mate, about October 7th and how did they let it slip by? But with how good Mossad are, I can't imagine it would have happened in the first place.
Do you think they slacked? Like, do you think, we're that good, they won't even try?
I don't know whether they were complacent, mate, but there was something definitely went wrong when you've got the best intelligence service in the world, and that happened. Somebody was asleep at the wheel, weren't they?
It's because all of that intelligence was focused on Hezbollah, and they paid absolutely no attention to the.
Did you see the video in Gaza when it first came out before they started banning them and on like all the platforms? Well, it was brutal. Like, you see a few still laying around here and there that aren't so bad, but some of the ones that like are really hard to find. I remember seeing them the first day, and I was like, "Holy shit! Like, that's a level of evil I can't comprehend."
There's a 45-minute video that the IDF released to journalists to let them view it, which were body cams, action cameras of the actual Hamas people. Not just Hamas, by the way, actual just random local people from Gaza who came in and took the opportunity and did things. I watched 3 minutes of it. I can't watch more than that. And, I'm not that squeamish, but I can't watch children being tortured and stuff, you know what I mean? Which is what that video was about.
Yeah, the bit I seen as well with the grenade where they threw it in the bunker with that dad and his kids. It was brutal, and the kids went out screaming. It's like
with his eye hanging out as well.
Oh, mate, it was
all right. Let's leave that one there. People are able to go and see that if they want that kind of thing. I don't want too many visual descriptions.
Just leave the taste, like it's just
Vanessa said arresting homeless here. So being homeless and broke is a crime. Well, vagrancy's been a crime in the UK since the 19th century. So, and it still is. So it's nothing new here. I don't know. I think Vanessa's in the States. Mark, is that something going on over there at the moment?
What's that?
Vanessa's saying that they're arresting homeless here, so being homeless and broke is a crime.
No, they don't arrest them here. They just relocate them to somewhere else to make that particular city look good temporarily.
All right, just move the problem along.
Yeah, they do. They just look, we cleaned it up. Yeah, where'd they go? They won't tell you where they went. They just literally throw them on buses and drop them in neighboring towns and cities. Let them deal with it. And it's usually the Democrat-run cities that do that. They got we cleaned up our look what what's his name did in California when Xi Jinping came over and had to clean the streets up. 3 days those streets were clean. There was no tents left, nothing. Where'd the people go? They don't talk about that. They dropped them up in Portland. They dropped them up in, Washington State and Oregon. They dropped them out in Vegas. They dropped them everywhere, got them out of the state. They just put them on buses and make them disappear. Well, their problem's gone, but it just became somebody else's problem. And now they have problems and they don't want to talk about where they came from. They just arrived.
Yeah. It's always somebody else's problem though, right? That's the best way to be.
Sure, until it hits your neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. Mark, while we've got you talking, what was the what was
you know that, right?
what was the deal behind the Trump meeting all the generals? Because I'm sorry, the speech that was televised, that part of it, cannot be the sole reason for gathering them there.
And we all know it wasn't, but nobody will know what it really was for.
Yeah, he talked about how to walk downstairs for 15 minutes.
Yeah, whatever they're telling everybody, that's all we're going to know about because they're pretty hush-hush about why they're real. It wasn't like, all right, everybody come on in. All right, this is the way it is now. If you're fat, if you're ugly, if you're gay, if you're this, if you're that, get out. That wasn't what it was about. They brought it up so the public could hear it. But what they're talking about after that, oh, dude, you got. There's a lot of us here that are just like, great. Now what's about to happen because they're sending over. What did we send over? 30 some odd, not Stratoliners, the big refueler planes.
Yeah,
30 just went over to Qatar. I mean, literally, boop, there they are. You can watch them on the thing. You can't see how many fighters went. Why are we sending all our shit over there? What's about to go down?
Venezuela too.
Yeah, everywhere.
It wasn't just Stratotankers. B1B was sent
the
over
B1s,
well.
the B. Yeah, they said so much stuff is now not within our borders. We're shipping it elsewhere. Why? Nobody knows, and that's got to be what they were talking about because it was all the high brass. It was all admirals and generals and up.
Yeah, it was from 1 stars up through to the top brass men.
Yep.
Yeah.
From brigadier up. Yep. Brigadier generals all the way up, and then the admirals and all that for the Navy, and all their people. Anybody in whatever the high 3 or 4 or 5 positions are. Yeah, that's all that was there.
Yeah,
and then they shut the doors and kicked the media out. So God knows what they were talking about and what's coming and why all branches. Who knows?
Chef, literally yesterday, you guys had some weird aviation going on because you had 6 of the Doomsday planes up. I managed to nab a screenshot of it on Flight Radar, but all at the same time in the US, you guys, 6 Doomsday planes as they labeled. It's not really Doomsday per se.
No, they're not Doomsday. It's just everybody thinks there's just one Air Force One. No, there's like 14 of them.
Yeah,
they're just all different sizes. They're all painted the same for the most part, but they don't call them Air Force One. They call them whatever, unless the president's on it. Then it's designated as Air Force One.
Yeah,
but they're always up. There's always at least 3 of them up. You just don't see them on the radar.
Yeah, if anything deadly serious was going down, the transponders would not be an open source thing you could look at.
Nope, they would turn the transponders on when they want us to speculate something else.
Yeah, potentially.
They're all flying this direction, then they shut them off and go the other way. Yeah. Look here, there.
One of the things that I did pick up in the speech was his reiteration of the enemy from within. And I know a lot of the left-leaning mainstream media in the States also jumped on this.
Well, that's the other thing they're thinking about is that, we're being attacked from within. We've been being attacked from within for at least 50 years.
Yeah, what's that Somali woman, Iman Omar? Is it Minnesota?
Oh, Iman Omar? Whatever.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of I've been following that for many years. She's been around for a long time.
Yeah, she married her brother so she can get in here, and that now came out, but she's still in.
She married her brother.
Well, this is the thing.
So she can become an American citizen now. That was the same time that Obama dumped 30,000 Somalians up in Minnesota.
Has that been confirmed, Chef? Because I seen that. I did see that.
Yeah.
And the thing is with this, right? They keep talking about
they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs,
and it's like, what homeland? You're in America. You're supposed to be an American citizen. They keep talking about Somalia.
Why do half our Congress people have dual citizenships with other countries?
Yeah,
we're not going to get deep on that one, but wait a minute. You swear an oath to the Constitution here. You can't be a citizen in another country. And they kept saying how Kamala was going to be president. It's like she literally couldn't have been vice president Well, she was never eligible because she wasn't born in this country.
But the backlash of that's crazy to me because that just seems
it's
like common
ridiculous.
sense. Like if you're, a dual citizen, pick one or the other. That just seems like common sense,
Well,
and the fact that
we
there's
don't
so
have
much
that over here
backlash is
apparently.
just, Talking of the US though, like there's a great video. The last time I was on here, I spoke about US being a superpower and why its geography is so it's like so important compared to any other country on the planet. There was a YouTube channel called Maxonomics. 2 days ago, he put a video up. I watched it today. It's already got like 800,000 views. That guy goes into great detail for like 10 minutes of why the rivers of the US is better compared to any other country in the planet, basically, and talks about its geographic, the reason why it's a geographic superpower, and it's a really interesting video on Max.
Well, I've seen that
Superpower or
video
not.
actually.
Superpower,
I made a comment on it.
But superpower or not, if the threat is from within, you're at war with yourself, right?
Yeah,
My question around that is, he's obviously put some, is it National Guard he's put on the streets in Washington to clean that up and stuff like that?
That happened a month ago. No, they got National Guard now in Chicago. There's National Guard up in Portland, Oregon.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Is
this martial law?
No,
is
it's
he
not.
just...
No.
How is it not martial law if there's military personnel on the streets?
It's not. So the National Guard is not it's not really a branch of the military. They call it. They shouldn't call it national. It used to be called the State Guard because every state has their own. We'll call it a military organization, but they call it the National Guard now. And but that's why in every county, or at least most every county, has some kind of a small building, or sometimes a really big building where they keep, their military equipment, whether it be like tanks or Hummers or howitzers. Everybody has their own designation. It's like a fire company. You have the ladder group, you got the hose group, stuff like that. So all the different National Guards, they all have their different designations. You have National Air Guard. So that National Air Guard, they have a bigger base, but they also have an air base on site. And they do their own thing, but they work in tandem, but they report to the governor. But above that, yes, they report to the president because they're now part of the military. So, but they're individual groups locate, like they didn't send the main National Guard to the other side of the country to go to Portland.
Yeah, but I mean, whatever you...
Guys, I'm shooting off.
Are you jumping off, Andy?
Yeah.
All right. Cheers for coming on,
Andy. Guys.
All right,
Andy.
Catch you later,
man.
Is it? I mean, whatever you name it, surely that's just semantics. The fact is, you've got armed patrols around. It feels like almost like martial law.
The reason they are actually there is to protect the government buildings. They are not going house to house. They are not arresting people. They are not shooting people. Well, unless you try to attack the federal building.
Yeah.
But this is why they got those guys are basically the security detail for ICE. Okay. ICE is the one going in there arresting the illegals, and the National Guard is there as a show of presence.
Because there was a shooting of ICE.
Right. Well, they're there to keep the blue hairs from just protesting and shooting ICE agents.
If I can, very quick, just so
I'm going to bow out at this point, folks. Catch you soon,
Brian.
See you, Brian.
Brian. Cheers, Brian.
There has to be parameters determining the sufficiency of factual bases to enforce or invoke martial law in the United States.
Yeah, we don't have it. It's not invoked.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's got to go through three parameters and then being signed off by the president. So actual rebellion or invasion is
Right.
part one. Part two is public safety requirements. And then part three
Check.
is probable cause for the president to believe that there is an actual rebellion or invasion statewide.
Check. All right.
So that brings in the theory.
Lefty. No,
that brings in the theoretical control now, where he's placing National Guard in certain areas because of an internal threat, not illegal aliens. Although that's a bonus. It's the internal threat of, I don't know, persons in certain positions in certain states that are literally guilty of treason, but can't prove it in public. So that's the other theory, is that in certain areas they're there. Yep, they're there they're in front of all these government buildings, but who else is in these government buildings? Are they keeping them safe from, I don't know, something, or are they holding them in there so they can't leave?
Yeah.
I don't know that. That I don't know. Those are the other two theories I've heard about it, and it kind of makes sense. You know, they're putting more fencing up all around the Capitol building again. You know, anti-scale fencing. Why? Who's gonna protest now? I mean, the National Guard is there, but they put the fencing up. I mean, okay, are they trying to keep people from running away? That's also a possibility. It's always a possibility. Is it a probability? But I don't know. But it's a possibility.
The US have got lots of very militarized looking uniformed organizations on federal with different federal levels and things like that, which I think is confusing to people in the UK. I mean, America, quite funnily, is the only place where you can work in the subway and go up the ranks and actually end up looking like a general of some description if you take a look at the uniform. Look
what they just found out. 129 undercover FBI agents were at the Jan 6 protest. I call it a protest. They called it insurrection. 129, that just came out. And they denied it up until about a week ago. Nope, there were no undercover there. Nope, there was no feds. No feds. That's all we ever heard. Meanwhile, all of a sudden, there was 129. We just can't tell you who they are. Well, they know who they are.
It's mostly the left that are pushing the narrative. That's
right, and that was the left who was in charge when that crap happened. So that's Pelosi and her ilk.
I wasn't pushing the narrative. I was asking the question. Before Alan starts accusing me of being far left.
Do you know the strange thing is, if somebody was to ask what martial law was, do you know Northern Ireland wasn't considered martial law? No martial law was ever declared Northern Ireland, and we do have a much more broader definition of martial law in this country. I would have thought Northern Ireland would have fell under that, but it didn't.
Isn't it only martial law though if they're replacing the police service? Whereas in Northern Ireland, the police service remained, right?
No, they would work alongside each other, but the military would have ultimate jurisdiction. They would have the say so on everything. Whereas the Northern Irish Police Service, or the Ulster Force or whatever it was called back then, they were still just the police. They were still in charge of their own affairs, etc.
I feel like with the UK compared to the US, like the US, it seems like if things do get to a point where it's really bad, they do just end up telling people get the fuck out. They will end up just shoving you on. In the UK, they kind of they get pushed out slowly. I'm talking politicians and people that make laws to allow for all this to happen. In the UK, they kind of just linger still. They just linger in the background. They might not be in a position of power or things like that, but the politicians will linger. Whereas in America, I feel like when things do come to push and shove, they do make drastic action. It might take a while, but eventually when they get the action going,
they will. And the difference between different police organizations around the world, in the United States, you got the federal police, the FBI. You have state police, which are state police. They're state troopers, state whatever you want to call them. Then you have county police. On the CB radio, we call them county mounties, or there's a bear. A county, the bear was a county police.
Is that like your local sheriffs?
So hold on. Certain towns have city police. Now, all those police people, the chief and everybody, all the chiefs, they are appointed by the governor, the mayor, the president. Just like president put in Patel, and my state put in whoever they put in for their state police chief. The county puts in the county police chief. The towns appoint, the mayor appoints theirs. Sheriffs are elected. That's the difference. We have the local sheriff. It's a county sheriff, but they are not the sheriff is not appointed by the mayor or anybody. He is literally, his name is on the ballot when we go to vote every 2 years. There is a sheriff's name on the ballot. That's the difference. So if we trust anybody around here, in my county anyway, I trust my local sheriff because I voted for him. So I know where he stands on whatever happens to be going on at the time.
Yeah,
the sheriff would come door to door to take your toys away. This one won't. This one would probably deputize freaking 80% of my town.
We've got the sheriff of Manchester, Andy Burnham trying to do a takeover bid of Keir Starmer. But for me, that's the worst getting worse.
Yeah.
It's really not an improvement if he does manage to
we have
Starmer.
sheriff's unions. I mean, sheriffs around the country, they do the sheriff. They gather, like, I think once a year or something, different states. They all get together and they all talk about what's going on in their area, in their state, because you have most of the sheriff, they're all county. So Pennsylvania has 27 sheriffs, I think, or maybe 25, because there's like a couple counties really shouldn't even count as a county. There's 400 residents. But I mean, you have the sheriff. Like up in Maine, there's only sheriffs in the really big towns. The rest of the state deals with the state police, period. So Pennsylvania is the same way. Maryland, pretty much everybody's got a sheriff because every county is pretty well populated.
I feel like that's what gives you America the edge on when people talk about potential civil war.
Yep.
When they've Hollywoodized it in the past. If anyone's not seen it, there's an older film called The Second Civil War, not the Civil War that's out recently. It's a bit of a comedy one, but it is based around a state governor not doing what the president wanted because it was a complete opposite politics and seceding in that kind of way. But they do have, because they've got their own military and stuff like that, individual states, it makes it almost possible. Whereas here, no chance. It's not. But Slinky Sprat 78, take out the pinch of salt because we don't know the intel, but thank you. He says, guys in the UK, the UK police lost control tonight of the Palestine protests. They're running amok. We are in great danger here. Well, I'm in the centre of one of those areas, so I will let you know if they come storming through the door.
I wanted to bring up something you said earlier, Mike, about the whole Lee Rigby thing. Like, that should have ended there. Like, I agree with you, man, because since then we've had, like, the London ramming with the car, then we had the machete attacks, then we had that, what's his name? Axel Rudiker, what's his name? The Rwandan guy, the kid that they kept showing. We've had a bunch of terrorist attacks and things like that of this nature keep happening. And now tonight we've got that's happened, right? And you just got to ask yourself, like, we know this is going to happen again if you don't put any, precautions in place. It's just inevitable.
The government's not doing anything. The police service have their hands tied. Even the armed police, like we said early on, that officer that took that shot today, he'll be a hero to some, but he might lose his job and he'll be a villain to many.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
So the next officer that's in that position, pull the trigger or he's potentially pressing a button, will think twice about pulling that trigger.
And it's that hesitation that we don't need.
And you're dumbing down that. I mean, they're trying to increase the intelligence in the police force. You've got to have a degree to become a policeman now. But they're stopping their response. It really is. I mean, this is why. I mean, I love the fact that America has the right to bear arms. Okay, yeah. I don't hide it that I wanted to emigrate there at one point and stuff like that. I kind of love it, and for one simple reason, is a lot of these people are not stable, or they wouldn't be granted access to firearms. We can get firearms in this country. Obviously, it's under strict law and stuff like that. But if we had concealed carry or even open carry in the UK, how many of these knife attacks would have done as much damage? The guy on the London Bridge was subdued by a guy carrying a tusk from it was like a mammoth tusk from a museum or something like that. Did anyone remember that? I
think I remember that. Yeah, there was also one in Australia, or was it New Zealand? Two brothers that were actually, I think they were from Manchester. Funny enough, if you could find that, I think it was Australia. There was like a terrorist attack, or some guy was stabbing some people in the street, and some brothers, I think they were from Manchester, picked up some chair and just smashed him over the head with it because no one was doing anything. Like, people were just running away and just
But we can't carry more than a 2-inch blade in this country. You've got somebody running amok with a machete, and every legal, honest citizen only has their flesh and blood to get in the front of it.
Key word there is legal. The ones who follow the law are the ones that have to abide by the law.
Yeah, and there's firearms in this country, Chef. And the people that have them are licensed firearms holders who do it for the right reasons. And guess who? The criminals, because they don't give a shit about the law. So they still have them.
But your politicians don't want to hear that.
No,
it's the guns' fault. It's the guns' fault. It's not a psychological fault or in our country a mental issue.
Half
You
these
know.
killings in this country, majority of the injuries are being done by car ramming. Are we going to put a mandate where you all have to have
It's the
sponge
car's
cars?
Yeah, it's the car's fault.
We'll ban cars. We'll ban knives. Everyone everywhere has to. Or you can't use plastic forks and knives either because now they're bad for the environment. So we're literally going to have paper knives and forks. So if you're a manufacturer, then
your hands and sticks and stones. Yep.
Well, have you seen how creative prisoners get with knives? They'll use the back end of toothbrushes. I think in South Africa, they were even taking off bike spokes from the wheels and stuff. There's a bunch of stuff that people use. Like anything that you can sharpen is a weapon at the end of the day.
Exactly. And the only people getting disarmed in this country are honest citizens.
Yeah.
The only people suffering because of it are
when
honest
they
citizens.
call something illegal, we don't want to be the criminal because we're not a criminal. So we're the first ones lined up, so to speak, to turn whatever ABCD into the local police for 10 cents on the dollar.
Have you ever watched any of the footage of the knife amnesties over here where they've had the bins and they can come and bring like machetes and knives and stuff like that with no questions asked and get rid of them? I believe like some cities in America have done the gun amnesty like that. But they do that over here. It's never a bunch of balaclavaed youths going, okay, bro, you can have my machete. It's not. It's old people, it's honest citizens and stuff like that.
Wasn't there like a young guy actually like saying, I'll pay you like a $5 if you hand them in? Or something. There was like I think he went on like This Morning years ago. I think he was like a mixed race gentleman that did it, and it was on This Morning. But he did a similar thing to what you were saying there. But he was like offering people money to give them in. But I was like, that's not going to work because they'll literally find the most random knives and just get money off it. Like,
well, they just know you stood there next to the big metal box with loads of money, so they'll turn up with their knife and just take the money.
But it's also you've got the people who focus on the ridiculous aesthetics of something. So it's like ban zombie knives because they look all nasty, but a kitchen knife kills far more people. More people get killed by kitchen knives.
Do you know what they put that down to?
Knives.
They put that down to, well, if the knife hasn't got street cred, they won't use it. That's what their answer to that was.
It's like in the United States now a 30-06 hunting rifle with a scope on it is now a assault weapon.
Yeah, but
that was from what was that from 1930 or something, that model?
Yeah, and it turned out to be a custom something hand me down from the family, which was another story. But yeah, sure. Yeah, it was from I think it was from the 70s or something like that.
I think it was even older than that. I think it was his grandfather's. So it was
and
from
it was
the
sighted
1930s.
in and everything was perfect on it. And don't get me started. Anyway.
But what Alan was saying about like knives, right? They'll ban the zombie knives because of the aesthetic. They'll ban what looks effective but actually isn't. It's not an effective stabbing tool because all those edges and that just get caught up on you. Something that's just sleek, slim, and straight to the point, quite literally, is the most effective because it goes in and out and it cuts every vital organ that it hits, and it's as simple as that. And like you said, most of the attacks are done by kitchen knives. I think it was like when I last looked a couple of years ago. Well, it was more than a couple of years.
I think I did a video on the stats.
Like,
I think I did a video on.
Yeah, it's incredibly high that it's kitchen knives, like Alan said. But it was when I joined the last open live. I said like I was more into survival than prepping, but I'm getting more into prepping. And when I said like survival's not going to save you what's to come. And what I meant by that is like situations like this. Prepping is also about being prepared, about social awareness of like what you're getting into. So when you're on like public transport and stuff like that. That's
100%.
that's the things that's going to save you. Like,
well, I'm starting to think of prepping as domestic survival.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason the video. So the video I just put out was about prepper mindset, right? This is the reason I've put that out is because it's the hardest thing to kind of teach people and to get people on with the situational awareness because it's a fine line between walking around really paranoid, looking at everyone, who's carrying a backpack on a bus. You can't be like that, but you have got to be aware. You've got to know where your exits are and stuff like that.
You got to be vigilant.
Yeah, the mindset of like a prepper and to have situational awareness will probably more likely to save your life than anything you will get on my Amazon store, which is linked below. But it's true, and the reason that's chapter 1 in the booklet, I think, because some people start to read something and don't read anything else. So if they just read that bit, it might do some good. If they go on to the rest, bonus. But
my old man always says to me, like he's ex-Royal Marines, and he always says, he's like, son, you are the weapon. Any item that you can pick up is a weapon. Like it doesn't matter if it's a vase, a plank of wood, a rock. it's a weapon at the end of the day,
Mhm.
and you've got to have that mindset that anywhere that you are,
I'm Brian.
you are the weapon. There is a weapon to be had, whether you realize it or not. Whether it's just shoe that you throw at the guy to distract him so that you can double leg him and just get on top of him, start smashing his head in if you need to. I know it's quite violent.
We
but this
don't condone any of this
no, we
behavior.
don't condone it. But this is the reality, right? You've got to fight violence with violence. You've got to be quick as well. You've got, like you said, with the police officer, there's a hesitancy there, not because he's not trained, but because he's scared of the political backlash that guy will get. He's not
Yeah.
allowed to do his job.
And there's also, so this is where we'll divide the crowd. There's also, you've got to decide whether is that risk a viable risk, because I would, if somebody was in danger who I saw vulnerable, I would go and try and help, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And as a prepper, that might be classed as a mistake. A lot of preppers would say, walk away, avoid it, avoid conflict at all costs. And I would genuinely avoid conflict at all costs. I'm the one that'll talk them down rather than fight them if I can do that. But I'm also somebody who couldn't walk away from a situation like that and live with myself. So it's a very difficult one, that.
Yeah, even if like you don't actually physically, like let's say that guy's stabbing someone and you're there, even if you can't get close to the guy, just trying to divert his attention or throw things at him so that he at least thinks about stopping so the other person can get away. Anything that's necessary, that you can do. There's the old it's like a scientist. He basically said like you hear the wind blowing. You're a gazelle. You hear the wind blowing, and it's the rustling in the bushes. Do you think it's a lion or do you think it's the wind? Well, the antelope and the gazelle that think it's a lion take off. The ones that don't, they might get lucky, but there's times where they don't get lucky and it is a lion. It ends up killing them. You got to be the same in public. You got to think like, yeah, there's a danger there. Do I blindly ignore the danger and just assume that it's never going to happen to me, no ways? Or do you accept that look, this can happen to me? It may never happen, but I'm gonna be ready just in case it does.
Yeah. That state of readiness is everyone should have that. It's relaxed but aware. That's the best way to describe it.
Keeping your head on a swivel.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, there's loads of terminologies for it, and it's one thing that lots of preppers don't have. And I've seen preppers on this channel who have like as people that like get involved in the chat and stuff like that have started. I'm a brand new prepper, blah blah, all this. I've got about this. Then they've disappeared. Or if I've spoke to them, they've decided to stop prepping because they've just lost interest because they think it's let's gather stuff exercise.
The thing is, as well, those instincts for self-preservation are drummed out of people deliberately, because you're told if you show any kind of hesitancy for, let's say, for example, getting on a bus full of gangbanger-looking people, but you hesitate,
you're a racist.
That's because you're a racist, or you're some other istophobe of some description. So how many people have went onto buses or went into elevators or lifts or put themselves in harmful situations because in their head they're fighting their own instincts, saying, no, I know he looks like a big, horrible, nasty man, but he's probably a really nice person. These are just my biases. Therefore, I'm just going to willingly walk over here.
This is the delusional, what did you say, Queers for Gaza organization. That's the kind of people that they are. They're completely delusional. They would be mid-flight off that building that they've just been chucked, going, well, it's not their fault. They're still nice people.
Yeah, we call
they're just misunderstood.
We call that Darwin Award, We call that Darwin Award. But if you are going to go into these situations, like Alan said, like in a lift, stand closest to the exit in the corner. So if anything does kick off, you're not only right next to the exit on your left or your right, but you also
so there's like nobody sitting behind you on the bus that you're just trying to like not bother anybody, and that person might actually stab you in the neck. Yes, that's
yeah.
Well, yeah. Another horrible situation, but it's
the U.S. Well, all media is doing this. One person steps in to fend off somebody else, trying to help somebody else who's being attacked, hurt, or whatever, and immediately the person who stepped in to help is now the one going to jail in the news, showing the whole world, look, if you step in to help somebody, this is going to be you. So they don't want it. Everybody now just turns a blind eye. Look what just happened in South Carolina. I just mentioned it.
Yeah.
Everybody on the bus just sitting there.
Like, remember that Remember that person who was set on fire on a subway in New
Oh
York?
yeah.
And
Everybody's
she was just
walking
standing
by
there.
going, yeah, I don't want to do nothing here because I'm going to be the one on the news, and I don't want to be the one on the news.
There was another case in New York.
horrible.
I think it was. Was it with a Marine chef, like an ex-Marine, crazy
Daniel Perry,
homeless guy?
Daniel Penny. Yep.
That's him. That's him. He choked the guy unconscious and ended up killing him, right? But he was being crazy.
That's the fun thing. It's like he put him in a chokehold to render him, inert but not dead.
Yeah.
And then, but he died because he was so strung out on God only knows what. His heart collapsed. Same thing with the guy that put the knee on the neck that caused
George
all
Floyd.
the fun times we had in the summer of love. That he didn't die from that. He was like, I can't breathe. It's like, wait, you're talking. You can breathe.
Yeah.
And it was a restraint tactic, and that's a standard tactic, but they're not allowed to use it anymore. But he died. Therefore, the person who was restraining him is now the villain, and let's burn cities down because of it. And this is what the media has put into the minds of the masses of don't step in and help because you're next. So now when a gang of people does the same thing, you're not going to do anything to help because you don't want to be the Danny Penny of the crowd and get all your name on the news, and your family and everything like that is now being assaulted by the media and all the other left-wing blue hairs out there. So this is what they've done to us. They've made us turn this into a standoffish community.
And when you're the victim of that and everybody else is watching you happen, you bet you wish you had stepped in.
Yeah,
because this is it. It goes right. It's people always talk about like the loss of community in the UK and there wouldn't be a blitz spirit anymore and stuff like that. And I used to fight that. But I'm starting to see it, and I'm really starting to see the point where people just, like somebody said there before, they'd just rather get the phone out and record than actually go in there and help and do something.
Yep.
And I cannot get my head around that mentality. I might put myself at more risk, which is probably not the smartest thing to do, but I just don't think I could live with. I couldn't go home that night and live with myself.
Someone said in the chat there, Nelly on the land, the UK is still a beautiful place, ignore the hype. Yeah, I agree with him. Like, I live in a fairly decent area, but don't get it twisted. You go 20 minutes down the road to the nearest city where I am, Newport, Wales, you see straight away when you go, type in pill. Look at what Pill's like at night, and you'll see a different story. It's
it's the same everywhere. We're such a tight country population wise. You're never more than a half an hour walk away from a very affluent area and a very poor area. Yeah. Especially if you're anywhere like I am near the city, I can walk that direction and be robbed blind and walk home naked. Or I can walk that direction and see footballers' houses worth 10 million.
Yeah, like I said, like there's a place called Pill in Newport, and it's a section of Pill in Newport which is really rough. Like during the day, not so much, but at night there's like open prostitution, gangs, drugs, all that stuff. There's literally a story on YouTube of a guy that went there. He used to be a drug addict, came out the house, and there was some guy running down the street being chased by a guy on a bike. Guy hops off the bike. He's got a single hand crossbow, shoots him in the back in front of him. I mean, it's craziness. It's craziness. Like, and this is only 20 minutes drive from where I live. Now, where I live's nice.
Right, so let's put this in perspective. Everything going on, everyone could probably relate to an area like this, wherever they are. And this is the type of people that are in them. And the people on the bus in the States ignoring that, not even helping somebody who's literally crying and bleeding out. This is in peace times.
I know, yeah. That's crazy.
Imagine even the mildest SHTF time. This is why community is key. This is why building networks is key right now.
But also staying out of those areas. Like if there is mass riots, like I don't think sensible people even care to go there. They kind of watch on the TV and they're like, "Oh, what the hell's going on now?" You know, like I do anyway.
Yeah, we're becoming numb. We're numb to it all now. It's like, oh yeah, there's violence down the street. Okay, yeah.
So that's how it should be.
10 people just died in this. Okay, well that sucks. Prayers for you. And this is what they've trained us to be.
Yeah, that's how it should be. Taffy's Bar. Valley's nothing like there. Well, we still fight with our fists. That's it. You should be able to have a disagreement, have a punch up, and go for a pint. There you go. Everybody lives. Everybody wins.
Yeah. You said when the crap hits the fan, what about those people? Well, the people that were sitting there quietly trying to pretend they didn't see anything, yeah, well, they're not exactly on my list of people to call on a phone and say, come on over, let's form a community.
Yeah.
No, you can kiss my ass. Go fend for yourself because you're the next one. You're the next victim on The Price is Right.
Yeah. Exactly. But
Nelly did say that he used to live in Brixton, London, and it was never as bad as made it. I agree. I do think people big up. It's funny enough. It's usually people that live there that big up their area to try and make themselves look bigger.
Let's also remember that every man with a phone now, every woman with a phone now, because men and women, there's only two types. Every man or woman with a phone now is a journalist. And we see more and more. It's like people say, oh no, why is there suddenly so many nonces and stuff like that? They existed 30, 40 years ago. They just weren't put on the media.
Yeah, the problem is those people, those journalists are the ones that just want to sit there and photograph the whole thing and not do anything to help.
Yeah, think how many likes I'll get
on TikTok. Yep.
Can I say something on the nonsense thing, which I find interesting because people always say, "Oh, the majority of nonces are white," and you say, "Yeah," but you have to look a bit deeper. I think that Western countries in general take, well, maybe not so much in recent time, but usually since the Second World War, it's taken quite seriously and they're locked up. And in majority white countries, you tend to find that policing for certain types of things like this are taken quite seriously to a degree. Now, I would say there's a bit of a degradation happening right now where there's a lot slipping through the cracks, but I think it's because we've got a lot going on. We're underfunded and a whole bunch of other issues. But I want to know what it would be. Would it be majority white people that are nonces out of the entire globe? Because how many parts of poor parts of Asia and Africa and South America that you don't even know is happening? Because they're never reported. You never even know.
It's not just a case of the reporting. I mean, the majority of nonces, if you like, in the UK are probably white because the majority of people are white.
Yeah, they are. 100%.
But if you go to a country like Afghanistan, where they quite literally think that marrying a 9-year-old girl is okay, then I would say all of them are nonces. You know, I mean, that entire thing is a bloody nonce concept.
That's the problem. One's prosecutable and one's cultural difference.
Yeah, and it goes back to what like Taff was saying, where back in his or his day we would fist fight in a bar. Yeah, because the people you were fist fighting were people from the same community as you. You know exactly who they are, and you know what it is you're getting into a fight about, roughly. Whereas now, you could go into a bar now and fight with somebody who quite literally might have an ideology in his head or a culture that's so alien to you, he might be fighting literally to the death. You know, because, whereas, if I went down a local bar in my small town in Scotland, the chances of me finding somebody to fight to the death over something is non-existent. Or it was at one time.
Taff said there, like that's happening with child marriage in the UK. To be honest, it wouldn't surprise me because we know cousin marriage happens in the UK and it's illegal, but we know that happens.
It's encouraged by the NHS. Look that up.
It wouldn't surprise me. It literally wouldn't surprise me.
The NHS actually said it brings cultural good and wealth to the families who participate in full-blown cousin marriage. That's a real story.
Let's be honest, right? When you think of paedophile, you think of white. Why? Because the majority of paedophiles you see are white, but that's just because Western countries take paedophilia quite seriously, and then majority of Western countries are white, so the majority of people are prosecuted by it would be white if you look at it logically. But like Alan said, there's parts of the world where that's normal. It's not even propagated. It's not even a thing that police investigate. So there are millions of other people from other cultures.
So if you come from a culture where you can marry a 9-year-old, then it's not a crime. Therefore, they just don't think about it that way.
I don't think.
Somebody was going to bring that one up.
So I don't think the majority of paedophiles worldwide are white.
Isn't
it's only white in Europe?
The legal age in Mexico is something like
14.
12. Was it
14?
14, yeah.
Jesus.
And I think Jimmy Carr did a joke on it saying, how the hell do they still have pedophiles? She look 14 to me. It's just
there has to be a limit somewhere. I mean, I think Scotland is probably the consent in Scotland is 16. You can be married at 16 without parental consent. You don't need your parents' consent in Scotland, which you do in England, I think.
Yes,
so that's why
up to 18.
Yeah, that's why you get people famously going to Gretna Green, just over the border and getting secretly married.
I
and
think
stuff like that.
personally, 18 is a safe number. It's a safe. So if I was like to say all round, I think 18 is a safe.
This
number.
country and their age limits is absolute bullshit. All right.
But this is why the age limits don't make sense.
You can,
Right.
as a reenactor, I could have fired and used a shotgun at 16. Right. I could get married and have sex at 16. I can't buy the book that tells me how to do it with pictures till I'm 18. All right.
Crazy. Yeah.
I can't buy this. I can't buy the cigarette for afterwards. I can't buy the cigarette for afterwards unless I look over 21.
You can't drive a car until you're 17.
You can't drink alcohol till you're 18.
I know, yeah. So you can't even drown your sorrows. Why would you get married at 16 if you can't drink till you're 18? That would be depressing 2 years.
The UK needs to decide what an adult is and pick an age. It's either 16 or it's 18.
It's whoever can vote.
Exactly.
I'm of the opinion,
in
right?
the States, you can the kid, a 2-year-old can pick their gender when they're 2.
Yeah.
I'm
Or
of the
whatever you
opinion,
wanna be.
I respect the fact that the law is 16, but me personally, I would say 18 is a safe number to go by, because 18 for everything. Like if you look at driving, drinking, joining the military, having relationships, I think that's a fair age.
I would
I'd
say
go 21.
That's
Yeah,
what
21.
25. I was a bloody moron when I was 18.
Yeah,
I
that's the
agree. I
problem.
agree. We're not. I wasn't no bloody spring chicken either. I agree. I think the older the better. But I actually think that when you raise that age, you're going to have so many more cases, prosecutions, that they just don't want to deal with them. They don't even deal with all the prosecutions now, of all the fucking nonsense now.
This is where I think the states got it right as well, because the legal drinking age in most places is 21.
21. Yep.
But they can drive from school age. They literally can go into driver's ed classes at a very
certain
young
states
age.
You can drive at 15, 16, 18
Right.
is the highest to drive at, and that was New Jersey is 18. You can,
But
or 17. You can get your permit at 16 and a half, but you can't drive on your own until you're 17 and you have so many hours behind the wheel. I mean,
But
other
some
states
schools
like
do
Maine,
lessons
you can
themselves,
when
though,
you're
don't they?
15. You live in the
Some
middle of nowhere. You can get your license at 15 because you have a farm vehicle, but you can still hop in Dad's pickup truck and drive down to the store and go shopping or whatever. You go to your friend's house in a car on public roads.
Yeah, what we do over here is 17 you can start to learn to drive, Chef. Yeah, 17 you can start to learn to drive. Unless you go and do a crash course and pay through the nose. That might take you, let's say, 6 months, for example. So as soon as you've passed your test and you're brand new, because obviously everyone knows you learn to drive after you pass your test, not what the instructor's doing. You learn to drive with experience. As soon as you pass your test and you've got your very first car, your giant 1-ton killing machine, you just turned 18, right? You can start drinking now. You've been waiting for this for a while, so now you're off to the pub with your 1-ton killing machine. And we wonder why it always
Your
goes
beer
badly
in one
wrong.
hand, cigarette in the other hand, and texting at the same time. Yep,
Texting the wife you married when you were 16.
that's right.
Tell you what, very quickly, the very first car I got when I was 17 years old, the very first day I was allowed to drive by myself, I picked up all my friends, there was about 10 of them, and a Ford Escort, and I crashed into the McDonald's drive-thru. Literally crashed into
Two of my mates.
I'm guessing at about 5 miles an hour.
Yeah, I couldn't take the corner, and now the bollards, I just smashed right into it.
It's funny you
Smashed the
said
car
that.
right up.
Two of my friends, well, my cousin and my friend did the exact same thing within the first week. My cousin Kyle, he crashed his car first week with his girlfriend in. She got knocked out on the dash. He thought he killed her. And then my mate Charlie had a full car with him, his little brother, and a couple of my other mates. Like an idiot, swerved around an S-bend, 80 mile an hour, flipped the car. Thank God everyone had a seatbelt, and he got out lucky. And that set a precedent for me as a new driver who passed just after them to be like, yeah, I'm gonna take it easy. And thank God I haven't been in any major collision. But
Young people will hate me for this. If you pass and you're below 25-year-old, you have to have a black box. I don't care how rich your parents are. I don't care how much you can afford to pay on insurance. You have to have a black box and a speed limiter. Yeah, your driving has to be monitored and it has to be spot on. Yep. And it's not like 6 and 9 points you can get. It's your first set of points and bang, you've not lost your license for a year. It needs to be strict.
I kept it for a couple of years just so my insurance was cheaper. But I get what you're saying. Like in terms of like keeping people safe, they're not going to like it. New drivers ain't going to like it, especially boys. Let's face it. A lot of the boys like to put their foot down. It is what it is. But
the insurance price is a killer as well. I knew somebody who passed his test. Right, got all his lessons paid. He passed his test, and because of the insurance costs, he never got a car.
Yeah, yeah.
For 3 years, this went on. So 3 years later, after passing his test and never driving a single vehicle after passing your test,
His
he
rates
then
went down.
got it. Well, his rates went down. And he then got in a car, and he was like a brand new learner. He was such a liability on the road at that point because he hadn't had that experience. All he'd had was the basic lessons to pass the test, and that was 3 years ago. Everything is messed up. Everything's broken.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all burn it all.
With regards to the points after passing your test, the as an example, if you pass your full A motorbike test, you are limited to 6 points in the first 2 years. As soon as you get point number 6, you lose your license and you have to retake your test from scratch again.
Can you do that straight away?
No.
So you lose your license and there's a time
You
period.
probably
back.
lose it for like 6 months, and then you can take it and try again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing.
They should do that for the car as well.
That does exist for a car for certain age groups. If you get beyond 6 points within the first, I can't remember, either 1 or 2 years, then
Do you happen to know which age groups, Alan?
I think it's like 17 or so. I only know this just kind of from memory because I lost my license when I was very young from no insurance. I got 7 points for that, and that was 1 point too many. And I had to reset my car test again in order to, because if you get 6 points within the first year or two of passing your test when you're that age, maybe under 20 or something like that. I haven't looked at it for a long time, but there is something like that in the UK.
Do you think the reason why insurance is becoming more and more like predatory in the sense of the pricing is because they're trying to do these like 15-minute cities, electric bikes, and trying to get everyone out of cars? Do you think it's a slow squeeze?
I think there's too many bloody idiots on the road.
Well, there's that.
That's the reason for insurance.
But a lot of drivers now, actually foreign drivers that come and get a license here, they get learn to drive, and they have translators in the seats and things like that.
So I've only been driving for 6 years. So I passed very late at 35. Yeah, I had motorbikes before that, so I never drove a car. Right, so I only passed 6 years ago, and I'm 41 now, and it's the first year that my insurance would be less than £1,000.
Because it's been 6 years. Yeah.
Yeah, based on the area, based on everything, all the factors that insurance companies come in, and then there's factors for your insurance that are just absolutely insane. Some insurance companies, when you get to a certain age, they base your insurance quote on the type of vehicle and how often it is crashed.
Yeah, not how you crash it, but that particular, how safe that vehicle is. Yep, vehicle safety.
Well,
yep.
No, it's not the vehicle safety either. So for a 1.1 Fiesta, it was going to cost me more than insuring a BMW 318 convertible.
Yeah, because Grandad drives the BM and a little shitty 17 drives the Corsa. Yeah.
Yeah, it's how common. So there's like been 300 Corsas that have crashed in this area. So if you try and insure a Corsa, it puts a premium up, which is ridiculous because that's nothing to do with your driving skill whatsoever.
It's kind of like your occupation as well. I mean, I've been a gardener for a long time on my insurance policy. You know, I don't know why,
is that a thing?
Yeah. When you go through when you're picking your insurance and it gives you the drop down menu for your different jobs, try different jobs and see what it says. If you're a gardener for some reason or a horticulturalist, I think it is, you seem to get quite low insurance than if you were, say, a HGV driver.
Isn't journalist like the most expensive, they said on Top Gear?
Probably, yeah. There'll be something there, and you can kind of bend it a little bit so that it's not completely illegal. I don't go saying I'm a lawyer or nothing, but I do some gardening.
It was an aspirational job. What's the problem?
I was a gardener for that day that I did my insurance.
I was a gardener, and then my plants died.
Yeah.
I was given my money back and told not to drive as I was too anxious on the road. That sounds like a bad instructor to me, Liam Mac.
Honestly, now, there's some people that should just never be on the road, period.
A good instructor will get you through that eventually, so yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna we've
turned into driving license and money advice channel. What's going on?
Yeah, I wanted to ask
Politics
on-
to that, to Vaseline, to bunkers underneath things with soda pop, and yeah.
What have
I'm
we
gonna-
not covered? Get your questions in the chat.
Oh,
was gonna say,
hey,
like,
Mike,
how
I'm
do
gonna
you-
bail. Thank you for
Yep.
letting me on again. And next
See you,
week probably
Chef.
not, because I'm off this week. That's why I'm on. But I may hop on and just work at the same time till my time 5:30, which was 30 minutes ago. So I might hop on for the last half hour next week, depending on what's going on. But thank you guys. Nice seeing you all again, and
Have a good one, man.
see you soon.
Always a pleasure, Chef.
No,
See you
Chef.
later.
See
Yeah.
you, Chef.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mike, about the attack, right, with the Jewish community, right? How do you think things are going to go? Because I joined slightly late. I think I was like 10 minutes late to the discussion to see what was going on, and then I later on joined after that. But how do you think like the Jewish community is going to deal with what's going on right now in the UK, having it been that they're not in Israel and they're getting attacked, you know, the anti-Semitism or whatever you want to call it. That word's kind of been overused, to be honest. I'm kind of losing. They use that for a lot of things, you know. But how do you think they're gonna go about it? Like,
They're
How are they
shitting
gonna-
themselves.
How are they going to spin it, do you mean? Oh,
yeah, I kind of worded that wrong. Maybe I should have said, like, in terms of how they're reacting to it in Gaza is different because it's on home soil. But I mean, they might be UK residents or citizens, or even born here for that matter. But they can't really do anything on a footnote other than up the security of the synagogues and things like that. There's not a lot you can do.
They're
No,
going to
this
have
is
to.
it. Well-
They're going to have to be a more close knit community, aren't they? This is the
there,
problem.
listen. The area, like I say, it is. I can walk to it from here. All right, where it happened, I can walk to it from here. Pass it regular. All right, and OPSEC hell, I know you're all going to come and hunt down and steal my beans in SHTF. Good luck. But I'm not bothered. But anyway, it's literally, it's already a really tight knit community. It is a completely Jewish community, sandwiched between different communities as well. The synagogues have already got huge gates on, security measures on there. They've all got cameras on and stuff like that. They've got large gates and large walls and stuff like that, and they regularly have security guards on the gates. The problem is that's your limit in this country. What are you going to do? Add an extra 3 people on the gates who can't be armed and can't defend themselves in any way?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
So
go on.
I was going to say, so you can't even have a baseball bat with a catcher's mitt and a baseball, and just have the extra 3 people with the baseball bats hitting the baseball about in the
Got some fielders.
in front of the gate playing
Bit sauced.
baseball.
Bit sussed. But I know, I get what you're saying. As individuals, we think about different ways around stuff like that. Funnily enough, I've literally just put a link onto all the links that I put below to support the channel for a UK legal defence like suggestions. Most of them are just alarms and things like that, unfortunately, in this country. You've got to think outside the box. But I mean, yeah, Taffy said can have a crossbow. Yeah, but you couldn't stand on the gates of a main road in Manchester guarding a synagogue with a crossbow. It just, they wouldn't tolerate it.
You
What
can't
will
have it as a
happen-
means of self-defense either. You can't even
No,
have a
it's a
crossbow
s-
under your bed and say, if a burglar breaks in, I'm going to use this. That
No, you
would be a
can't.
crime.
It is purely for target shooting. You can't even hunt with it. All right.
I think your
It's
best
purely for
defense
target
is a
shooting.
pen. It's a pen. Literally carry a ballpoint pen.
That sounds very English. I'm going to get attacked. I'm going to write a very strongly worded letter.
The reality is,
Dear Mr. NP.
that's the reality. Like it's like if you carry a blade, you're gonna get done for. But if you carry a pen and paper, no one, well, have you got that notebook on you? But at the end of the day, like you can't, like Alan said, you can't do anything. But the trouble is, right? It's like when I look at all this, troubles that's going on with between the Jewish community and the extremists and stuff like that, I just think to myself, there's a lot of conspiracy that goes around as well. Like the Jew
Just carry a
leaders.
light. Just carry a lighter for your cigarettes.
Lightsaber.
There's nothing
Jesus.
suspicious about a lighter for your cigarettes.
There seems to be like have you ever noticed though, like whenever something happens, oh, it's the Jews, oh, it's Mossad, like, and there might be some element of truth to that. I'm not going to be here to defend it, but I feel like sometimes that rabbit hole goes so deep. I'm just like, oh, give it a break.
Yeah, but you're talking about ancient beefs that will never be solved.
Do you feel the same way though? Like some of it might be true, but then also you feel like, oh, come on, give it a break. It can't be that.
I believe over any ideology in the sanctity of human life. All right. So if you're going against that in any way, shape, or form, no matter what banner you put on it, no matter what spin you put on it, you just
News calls you far right for that, Mike.
A lot of that stuff has been exacerbated by the mindset of the far left or just the left. That's where a lot of that stuff's came from.
I agree.
I used to always wonder why the Jews were picked on so much. I genuinely couldn't work it out. And I mean, you can look into things like there's a very famous propaganda book called the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Now that was a completely made up book by the Russians to try and harm Jewish people. It was basically a book, if you don't know, about the minutes that were supposedly taken by Jewish leaders, and it was them talking about sort of taking over the world and nonsense like that. But that book's available to people in Jordan and hotels the same way the Bible is.
It's funny you say that because, like, even do you know the concept of usury that they used to do with like lending money, and obviously in traditional Christianity and Islam, interest is forbidden supposedly. So they would use the Jews, and the Jews would have interest, and they would use them as scapegoats. And then this is ways that they could say, "Oh, see, the Jews would charge you." It was like a scapegoat of like, "Oh, they'll use interest," but so you'll hear things of like, "Oh, yeah, the Jews would use usury for interest," and they did, but they were also used by kings and emperors of those nations as a way to scapegoat, to make interest without making it look like it was them doing it. You know, the people say about the Bolshevik Revolution, oh, it was the Jews. Yeah, there were definitely Jews in that revolution for sure, but I don't think all of them were Jews. In fact, I don't think the majority of them were Jews. I could be wrong. I've not looked as deep into that, but there's so many things that just like get put down to, oh, it's the Jews, and I'm like, yeah, look, there might be Jewish people involved, but it doesn't mean it's the Jews. There's lots of, it's like saying the English.
They're a very easy target.
It's just easy for anyone to blame anyone. Right?
Also, yeah.
If you could blame an entire nation instead of taking responsibility for your own thoughts, actions, and stuff like that, it's just a scapegoat, and it is exactly what it is. And I think it's if you blame an entire race or religion of people because of even if you disagree with everything Netanyahu's doing, what's he got to do with a local kosher butcher down here, or what's it got to do with it?
Nothing.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, see regardless of sort of religious belief or what you think of particular religions, I'm completely atheist, by the way. I don't believe in any religion whatsoever, but the Jewish people are the most persecuted people on earth. There's no race or religion more persecuted than Jewish people throughout history. I can't think of any.
They've always been a minority, haven't they?
That includes the entire slave trade. That includes all the eastern countries of Europe. That includes many African countries. They, throughout history, are the most persecuted people, and not for good reason. Most of them lied,
and for that very reason, the most resilient as well.
But but also, let's like keep it a buck here. If you look into things like the Talmud and the Torah, there are things where they also believe they're chosen people. But that's not to say that Islam don't believe they're chosen as well. They may not say it, but like they do think that they are the ones to, So this is the problem we have with all this stuff. But that's a whole different debate. But what I would say is like, people talk about propaganda this, propaganda that. Just don't forget that there's only like 15 million Jews worldwide, and there's over 2 billion Muslims, and then you add the left on top of that. I mean, it's like
Ben's left or lost his
there's an insane amount of people on the opposite side to them that just drowns them out. So, like, when I actually try to find what is the truth, I'm just overwhelmed by 2 billion Muslims saying one thing and like millions of the left saying another. So when I actually try to get the opinion of a Jew, which is very hard because I don't even know a single Jew. I literally don't know one. The only person I've ever spoke to that was Jewish was playing on like Apex online gaming, and he was too scared to give me where he was from because he thought I was gonna.
I tell you what, and see, given that there's such a minority and such a persecuted people, I can't think of any more people more deserving of their own little state. I just can't. Why not let them
I
have
don't-
Israel?
So we're getting way too deep into ancient
Yeah.
politics, I think, for prepping and stuff
I
like
was just
that.
about to say, I don't have the answers to the land and stuff. I don't have.
No,
That's
yeah.
not my fault.
I don't think we in the next 30 minutes we can solve this
No, I
age-old
agree.
problem, but we can all agree that doing that attack, whether it's person A to person B or person B to person A, is just horrendous, and we completely don't condone it in any way. So yeah, I want to talk. I wanted to talk before Ben went. I don't know if he lost connection or if he's coming back, but we've touched on everything but Russia and Ukraine and stuff like that. So I did want to touch on that before we go. I'm not sure what Highlander's comment was. I don't know if he's saying we're all selfish preppers in here, or if it's a message to selfish.
I was actually going to bring it to your attention, Mike.
Yeah, well, we're definitely not mainstream media peddlers, so, well, everyone's entitled to the opinion, Highlander. If you'd like to put an intellectual argument in there to follow it up, we'd be more than happy to
Join us.
discuss
I mean,
it.
I'm not going to take it personally. Like, if he means about being patriotic, yeah. If he asks what you want to hear from me, yeah, I'm 100% patriotic. Britain first.
Yeah. I mean, I've got my the banners blocking it at the moment, but I've
You
got
might be
my
right.
Charlie Kirk and my Unite the Kingdom at the bottom, so there we go. That's my mainstream. Yeah, so currently we've I had it on screen, but I've completely lost it, so I'm going to completely butcher it and paraphrase it. But yeah, Putin basically turned around and said, in no other words, of the West leaders are lying to the people. He doesn't know why anyone wouldn't like Russia and stuff like that, and basically said it's the West that's got the ill intentions towards Russia, and if they continue to militarize as much as they're doing, they're going to respond.
I think there's elements of truth in that, because look, at the end of the day, our own leaders lie to us. So he's right there in a sense, maybe not on a large scale, but also let's not forget, like, he runs the country. Like, there's memes online of when every time there's an election, they say, "Oh, congratulations, Mr. Putin. I'd like to congratulate you on winning the election," before the election happens, because they know the outcome. So he's definitely right about leaders of the West lying to us, because they lied to us. Our own people lied to us, you know. But that doesn't mean that he's completely right and that he's, you know. So this is what I'm saying. I said last time, unless you see the transcripts, unless you see the messages of all the generals and the intricacy details, no one will ever know what that war is truly, or who truly started it.
I mean, I'm not, to be honest. Who said who and who threw stones is probably irrelevant at this point.
Yeah,
I think the more relevance is NATO going to get involved? Is it going to be NATO triggering that, or are these Russian drone incursions a way to try and force NATO into it? And why would he want a war, Putin? It's surely, I mean, the build up to war and an arms race is good for economies. We know this through history. But any sort of devastation and destruction in a country like Russia is going to be devastating for their economy as well. So the question is, where is it going? Because that's what we're more concerned about as preppers. Not how it's got there, but where is it going is the question.
I don't have the answer to that, mate. I don't know.
I don't think anybody does. So all we can do is speculate, and all that we can do is, of course, prepare and stuff. Ben, you monitor this very closely. What's your 2 cents on what's going on at the moment since the proverbial gloves have been taken off and Trump said Ukraine can take it all back?
Dead simple. Putin's gone in his pocket. He's pulled out his reverse Uno card and he said, okay, if you're basically stating Ukraine is strong enough and in a defensive posture, ready to take back everything that we as in Russia, have claimed illegally, Trump's looked at that, and it ties in with the generals' meeting. You know, that could have been seen in the eyes of Putin as a show of force. Yeah, it was risky. Everyone said that, and there was massive speculation on the run up to it of why is he doing 800 or 900 generals all in one place. That is a massive target. Nothing came of it. It was, like I said at the start of this, like a USO show from South Park in a sense.
Yeah,
that's how it came across. It was just too comedic. So Putin's basically shown now that No. I'm not a paper tiger. I just retaliate. That's all it is in a sense. Is I'm retaliating. I'm not the instigator. I'm the one who's just going to retaliate to anything thrown at us. Blame the Ukrainians. Blame NATO. NATO spinning lies, like you said, Mike. He's changing the narrative to keep him in the spotlight.
He plays the long game. Putin, like, if you know anything about Putin, he'll play the long game, and he's basically calling Trump's bluff and all these other people's bluff. Like, oh, you're gonna get a ceasefire, or you're gonna end the war, and then he's like, oh, let's see. Well, the another thing is, why would he give up when he's winning? He's gaining ground. No, maybe not winning in terms of like by the people of his nation or whatever. I don't know what the hell they're thinking over there. But I mean, in terms of land gained, at the minute, he has taken more than Ukraine's actually been able to defend. So why would he stop?
Yeah, but is it a bluff when, I mean, you're starting to give Ukraine Tomahawk missiles, access to satellites that can pinpoint target deep into Russia, you've basically just pointed a big red cross to here's Mr. Putin's house.
He plays the long game, though, man. He does it with everything. He's just Putin's smarter than people give. People, when I hear people say Putin's an idiot, and I'm like, that's so stupid. He's not. Putin is a lot smarter than. He may not be somebody that you like, but he definitely knows what the alley's like. He definitely thinks long term. He definitely thinks long. What did he say about presidents of the US? You know, they come and go every 4 years, but when the guys in black suits show up, something along the lines of that. He pushed that kind of idea that like they come and go, they change a few laws. Well, I'm here at the end of it, you know.
Yeah, it's the one benefit the Russians and the Chinese have. They can play the long game.
Yeah, dictatorships are good if they go like the thing is with dictatorships is like if you have a really good leader, it goes extremely well. But if you have someone who's a tyrant, like in North Korea, I mean, you're basically in squalor. You have no chance.
Yeah, and that's the nutters that would press the red button. Great name, by the way. Sugar Pie Honey Bun says that war has nothing to do with the US, though.
Oh, it does.
The problem is like all wars, there's huge rare earth minerals under Ukraine, so there's opportunities for big money there. And to be fair, this whole thing is because it's on the border of NATO. All NATO countries come to that eastern border, and Ukraine's the last buffer zone, right? And USA is part of NATO. So technically, if they invoke Article 5, they would be, I like to use the word obligated, but after all of us watching that Sky War Games thing, would they? But we don't know. But they're still part of it, so they're definitely involved in that way. They've got definitely more than one horse in the game.
You can see why Putin don't want them on the border, though. I mean, like,
I'm not gonna again. There's somebody just said. Ukraine, Russia still owns Ukraine. It's legally speaking. You can go down the historical route and look at all of this, and you can say they're right, they're wrong, stuff like that. We could be here all night talking about the politics of it. It's by the by for me. Whichever side of the fence you're on, of who started it, who did what. As preppers, we've got to look at what.
Pick a side. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I think.
But as preppers, we've got to look at how it directly affects us, right? NATO ends up in a war. We instantly go into wartime mode, and and people heads in the sand think, oh, but we're so far away, it won't affect us. Of course, it will. It'll affect our imports. It'll affect our infrastructure. It'll affect our power supply. The knock-on effects of a war starting to breach into NATO would be massive on the UK. The UK has done the same, 100%.
Yeah, the food, the power.
Yeah, food. Over 50% of what's on your plate is imported.
Fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't Ukraine have some of the largest like crop fields in the world, apart from the US, like Greenland, to grow like fresh crops and things like that?
It's Europe's breadbasket. Some people describe it as from a.
Believe it's wheat, isn't it?
It's a bunch of stuff, I think, but yeah, wheat's one of their main ones for sure.
It's in Europe, the US's interest, along with our interest, not to allow Russia to be the dominant power in Europe. I mean, that's what it's all about. That's why the Americans have an interest in it. You know, it's also just a convenient buffer zone from them. From an American point of view, in order for Russia to get to them without nuclear weapons, they have to go through all of Europe. in order to get there. But there's always been a power struggle in Europe. For most of the 20th century, Britain has been basically worrying about Germany, in some way, if you look at that. We've been at war with Russia before as well, a couple of times, I think. Technically we still are, actually, from the first time.
And what a bold statement for Germany to come out and say they're going to build the biggest military force in NATO. The last person that said that wasn't a very nice German. Just throwing that out there.
It's funny,
He wasn't even German, he was Austrian. Just throw that out there too.
It's funny you say that because people think the left are bad, right? They're like, oh my God, the far left. Mate, you do not want someone who's super far right getting into power. Like, you do not want, like, I'm talking like the hardest, like, leaning right person. They think the left's bad, the far right, when they get in power. I mean, you've only got to look at Stalin, Mao, Hitler. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. It creates.
Why not, Jake?
No, he's right. He's right. The middle is the best place to be. And it's where we will all make the most money. We'll all get the best wages. We'll all have the best rights and stuff like that. But we've not had a middle-leaning party for the last 10, 15 years. No matter which way you look at it, Labour is a left party. Yeah. No matter which way you look at it, Conservative are slightly right. So we've never had a middle ground, and we never will, no matter what they try and sell it to you as. The reason far right is getting so much support now is because we're sick to frigging death of wokeism and far left.
Yeah,
and we don't think, let's just edge off a bit, let's back off a bit, let's get back to a sensible place where we can all have really good businesses, food's at a good price, and we're all earning a good wage. No, we think, scary left, let's go all the way right. Scary right, let's go all the way left. There's no middle ground.
Thing is, it gives cover to these things as well. I mean, the rise of right-wing populist parties across Europe is a response. That's a response to the over leftification or the over wokeification of Western societies. I tell you what, I mean, one of the interesting things about it is you get these people on the left who call everybody a Nazi. I tell you what, do you know the only people who wouldn't care if you called them a Nazi? A Nazi.
Yeah, they don't care.
It wouldn't be an insult to them. It would just be like, yeah, of course. What's the insult? But if you call everybody,
Alan, you're bloody Scottish. You are. You're bloody Scottish.
That's it. Anybody slightly to the right of bloody Jeremy Corbyn, you're a Nazi all of a sudden. Well, it takes away the power of the word. Then it just becomes the case. So everybody's a Nazi, are they?
Sorry. Everybody is right of Jeremy Corbyn. You can't get further left unless you dug up Karl Marx. Just throwing that out there.
If anything, calling them a Nazi makes them want to do it more. It gives them fuel to the fire. Like Alan said, the true Nazis, they don't care about it. They actually like, oh, I'm actually getting recognized for what I am, and then it forces them to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. This is just how it goes. People get extreme on both ends, and it just.
I love it. I love it when the left's out protesting Nazi scum off our streets. It's like I feel like they're talking to themselves.
The funniest bit's when they call them.
I always feel like they're talking.
They have no idea that they are the fascists as well. They want to be fascists too.
Facebook banned me for a quote recently, and that quote was that the fascists of the future will call themselves anti-fascist. That's all 100%. I read. That's all I said.
100%.
I got
banned for that.
Got banned for that.
Wow.
I think it was because
fascist Facebook.
I think it's the quote's often attributed to Winston Churchill, and I had a Winston Churchill sort of quote picture, and I don't think he actually did ever say it when I was trying to fact check it. I don't know who said it originally, but then I reposted it on Facebook once Facebook removed it, and I quoted myself. It says, okay, then I'm saying it then, and they banned me. I mean, yeah.
The mind boggles.
I had a poster when I was younger given to me because I'm left-handed, and it basically said, I may be left-handed, but I'm always right. And I always think of that, of how the left are today. They always think that they're right, like in terms of their mindset, and they just don't look past the fact that they're like, no, we have the right way. We know what we're doing.
The problem with the left is they're not liberal. That's the thing. I think I'm a very liberal person.
They're not logical.
The left aren't liberal. They're out of their mind now. And
they're not logical, and even the fact that half of Starmer's voters have left and wouldn't vote for him again, they're still staunch lefty Labour supporters and stuff like that. I fell out with family over this, so it's absolutely fine. I've already said on this channel that I'm going to say what I want from now on, and you just can't argue with them. That's the
They're
point.
like
Alan.
children
They're
having
not
a
logical whatsoever. Somebody who's quite liberal and stuff like that, you could probably have a good conversation with them, an intelligent conversation, and they might see some of your points, you might see some of their points. When you get to like the proper left, what we're talking about here, there's just nothing. Anybody, everyone, or most people will have had an experience with this. Sometimes when you're typing, especially when it's like a Facebook or a social media argument, you're typing like, get my point across, and you might accidentally put the wrong "your" in, or you might put the comma in the wrong place. And they won't mention anything until they've nothing to argue back with. Then they'll go to your grammar and spelling. And that
just
is...
stomp their feet like little kids.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's a joke, man. It's a joke. The fact that like we even have to take these people seriously is a joke. Like it's been like what 10 years of this crap, and we're still having to deal with it. Like at some point we just need to go. All right, get in your corner, shut up. Like the adults deal with this over here, But you can't, because you've got to give them the freedom of speech, freedom of expression, because you've got to practice what you preach, right?
Give them the freedom. But why have we given them such a big voice?
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
why have we stopped speaking back? That's the issue.
We should just.
I don't think these extreme lefty woke people are the majority in this country. I think the majority are sat in their house going, "Oh God, these guys are idiots. They're identifying as a penguin now. What's going on?" But they won't speak out. They won't speak beyond their own front room or their own dining table.
It's because cancel culture was so successful. It was so good that people simply just stopped engaging with it. They simply just stopped talking about it.
But again,
that's the worst crime of all. It's taking away somebody's ability to speak and openly challenge nonsense. I'm not quite a free speech absolutist. There has to be a limit to what free speech can what can be tolerated for free speech. But it's pretty obvious that the stuff that we're being policed for now in the UK is extreme free speech policing. It's thought crime, and it's only on one political side. It's only on one side. It's never on the other side.
The trouble is with that, though, Alan. Like, I do see where you're coming from. Like, obviously, you don't want people inciting violence, but then who am I to say to someone, because that's inciting violence, how do I choose? Are we only going to say, if someone says, I'm going to kill somebody or go kill this person, that it's against freedom of speech? Or because then I worry that people are going to leave it up to interpretation of what they consider free and not free.
It's 100%. It's 100% interpretation. I got banned off. I got banned off Facebook for writing in like almost a song where build a bonfire, put Jeremy Corbyn on the top, and they give me a ban for inciting violence.
Yeah,
because obviously I was legitimately asking a group of people to go and build a bonfire and carry Jeremy Corbyn to the top of it. Obviously, that's clearly what was happening there. There's no sense in it.
Christopher Hitchens said about freedom of speech and stuff like that. He basically said, if you want to know what someone thinks, let them speak. So basically, let them do it. Just let them speak. Eventually, they'll tell you what they believe, and then you can take. It is what it is.
Question for you, Alan. How's cancel culture not caught up with people like Jimmy Carr then?
I think it has. Jimmy Carr has been attacked, but
he's been attacked, but he's never been arrested or told to stop or pull his tour or pull his DVD and stuff like that. Is it only cancel culture if you're under a certain earning bracket?
Yeah, I mean, it was always the argument that the left used to make, whereas people used to say, well, if free speech is so much under attack, how come J.K. Rowling hasn't been arrested? Because she's J.K. Rowling, that's why. I tell you what, if I said half of the stuff that she did on a public forum, I would have the police at my door. We know this happens because we see endless YouTube videos of people getting knocks at the door for nothing, basically nothing. I mean,
you've got to get big enough to be knocked on the door. So make sure you're subscribing.
there is a point where you can be uncancelable, and a lot of celebrities who have been cancelled, they cancelled themselves because they made the stupid mistake of trying to backtrack or apologise to the woke people who were hounding them. And that's the worst thing you can do. J.K. Rowling never did that. She was always just, no, to hell with you. I'm going to defend women. That was her thing. J.K. Rowling is incredibly woke. I've heard a lot of her commentary before. She's a very, very liberal person. Mm-hmm. The one thing she was against, which is what went against the sort of the craziness, was the T in the LGBT. She was like, oh, wait a minute, you can be whatever you want to be. You can call yourself a man if you're a woman. It doesn't matter to her. But what you can't do is go into female-only spaces or compete in female-only sport. It was all about females because she's a feminist. And she's seen the absolute craziness behind that kind of notion. And because
like the boxer.
Attacked. Yeah.
Like the boxer.
Yeah, absolutely.
That Olympic boxing,
Russia takes no shit from the woke lot, do they? They shut that stuff down straight away. Like,
well,
I know, like
America is now too.
Well, it's one of those, like, every time I've seen a protest of, like, woke stuff happening in Russia, I just see police in full uniform just come out and just completely shut it down.
Lee's in from the Bug Out Prepping and Survival. So anything you need to get prepared, go and check out the Bug Out shop and check out Lee's YouTube channel as well. It's an awesome channel. He said, no one can get up as much enthusiasm for a government which puts you in jail if you open your mouth. George Orwell. There you go. Thank you, Lee. Good to have you.
The Bug Out shop has a sale on.
Is the sale still on? I'm surprised.
I believe it's still on, yeah.
If there's still a sale on, get there quick. Get there quick. It's the best prepping shop in the UK. There you go. He didn't pay me. He did not pay me to say that. I don't get commission. I should, but I don't. No.
You don't get commission. You get the odd free MRE here or there.
No, not even.
Or the odd
we
replacement team U tent.
No, we get the support from Lee. He supports everything we do. He supports the charities and stuff like that. He's a great guy, so make sure you go and support him as well.
Like, what's the numbers of the Russian-Ukraine war? Because I know there's a lot of different numbers that I've seen. I don't know, like, obviously we don't know how accurate, but I see a bunch of different.
What are you talking? Like casualties?
Deaths.
And,
just deaths.
Millions.
Casualties.
Yeah. It was something like 250,000 deaths and 700 injuries was the last time I seen, but we'll never know the true numbers. It's probably a lot more.
How long do you reckon that's going to go on for then? Because that's just insane, man.
Till somebody escalates. There's not enough conventional war power to make significant gains on either side. It's always going to be this way, that way, this way, that way. Up until the point peace is negotiated, or up until the point somebody escalates it dramatically. And considering Russia has just announced their largest draft ever since World War II, they could be planning something. We don't know, but it could all be just posturing and just building the arms race. So it's a difficult one. All I would say is preparing this country for the knock-on effects. I'm going to start to wrap it up here, gentlemen, because we've been on for 2.5 hours. We've had a great audience tonight, so thank you for everyone who took part in the chat. Make sure you're part of the Discord as well. The Discord group, the discussions carry on all the time, all through the night, much to my dismay of the notifications on my phone. But the Discord's a great place to learn anything about prepping and stuff like that, and you'll find most of these guys. Jake, are you on the Discord?
Yeah, but I'm under a different name. There was actually I was going to mention that earlier with Chef, but last time I was on, Chef said to come over to Shadow's channel and join the chat, and I thought, you know what, I'll take him up on the offer, and I went over there. But my YouTube, my Discord, and the name I use here is all different, and the reason for that is really simple. My Discord is my gaming name. My YouTube I set up in 2011. It's just I made it just so I can subscribe to people.
You can change your name on these things, you know that, don't you, Jake?
I know, I just haven't, because I just knew this, and then I join as a guest with my name. So my YouTube is random user. I have nothing on it. I don't use it. It's just literally to follow you guys and stuff like that.
Well, get your ducks in a row, Jake. Get your ducks in a
row.
But all of these guys are on Discord as well. They'll be happy to chat to you there as well if you come and join in the conversation, if you're not already there. Alan has an awesome channel, World Survivalist. Go and check him out. He's definitely not a prepper. He'll try and convince you. But hopefully, come December, we should be doing a video together. Hopefully, Alan.
Yeah, could be. I've got a few places looked out, I think. So maybe we'll do a chat from the Highlands of Scotland somewhere in a tent.
Yeah. Watch Mike set fire to his tent and freeze to death live.
Will you be feeding Mike worms and bugs and grubs and whatnot, Alan?
Well, he can eat that stuff if he likes. I'm just going to get a pizza and take that with me.
Listen, I survived my ex-wife's cooking. I can survive anything when it comes to food. Ben's got the channel, which is Renegade Preppers UK. And Paul, you have Norfolk Prepper. Is it UK on the end?
Norfolk UK Prepper.
Norfolk UK Prepper. There you go. Jake, you need a channel as well. You need to catch up, mate. Come on, sort it out. So Jake's political viewpoints.
I've got a channel,
I want to see
but
that
I don't
channel.
upload. I don't do anything. It's literally just been a channel since I was a kid to like and subscribe to people.
There you go. Get it started. Get it started. Thank you to Miss Worm, to Rift Security and Evil Girl. I'm definitely going to have to get more moderators than you guys, just so it lightens the load. But thank you for all the work you've done, keeping out some of the crazies, which we've had a few of them tonight. Thank you for the donations as well. Killer 71, Renegade Preppers, Ben, and John. You guys are really appreciated. Everything for my channel is in the links below. Miss Worm will post the links for the other channels now. Alan, any final thoughts this evening to leave everyone with, and your goodbyes, please?
My final thoughts would just be, obviously, on the back of why we came on tonight is just the tragedy of something that we knew could be avoided. Everybody knew it was coming. The community itself knew that they were in danger, and this just shows it. So hopefully we could, be a little bit more pragmatic about our approach to things, and hopefully this will wake government up a little bit to the dangers of spreading this kind of, woke nonsense that they keep on doing. I don't think it will. I hope it does, but we can do it at least. We as a community can see it for what it is and be against it and call it out when we see it.
Definitely. Lovely. 100%. Paul, any final thoughts for other people before you buy?
No, I think Alan's pretty much covered what I was going to mention. It's just a pity something like this had to happen.
Yeah, always. Yeah, it's always a tragedy when anything like this happens. Jake, any final thoughts for the people before we go?
Yeah, I would just say this isn't to scaremonger or anything, but I do think things are going to continue to happen like this. It's just going to continue happening. It's not gonna stop, unfortunately, until some drastic action's taken. So I just say to everyone out there, just keep your eye out, watch out, be about, and just see what
100%.
happens. That's all you can do.
Situational awareness at all times, heightened situational awareness when things like this happens, guys. Ben, any final thoughts or goodbyes from you?
Just to stay safe out there, keep an eye on local news and Discords and any social medias, and thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for everyone for joining us tonight and getting involved in the discussions. And we will see you all in another video. Like tomorrow, I'll be live as well with Brian for Bad Preppers first episode. There's going to be no agenda. There's going to be no prepping. It's just going to be Brian unfiltered and Mike cringing. So make sure you tune in for the first ever episode of Bad Preppers tomorrow night. And I'll see you all soon. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.